it will very shortly welcome both teams onto the pitch, and also we're going to have a heavy glory lap as well coming up very shortly indeed. We're not far away from blast off.
As Robbie mentioned, very shortly our Henley Glory Lap will be on the way, partnered by our partners at Henley Group. Keep your eyes on here in front of the pavilion for our stunning all-electric Techno Comfort Range. Hawkey will be involved as well. He's not going to be empty-handed. There will be some free t-shirts heading into the crowd as part of our Scatter Blast giveaway.
Yes, very good evening to a very warm Utilita Bowl. I've said that a few times this season. And we are into the last few games of this South Group T20 Blast. The Hampshire Hawks against Glamorgan. It's 4th versus 3rd. For Hampshire, it is their 12th of 14, and for Glamorgan, it is their 11th of 14. And both these sides currently sit in the qualification places for the quarter-finals. Hampshire have won the toss. They're electing to bat first. Yes, I'm Kevin James, and next to me from BBC Wales, it's Nick Webb. Nick.
Very good evening. Thank you very much for having me.
So what do you reckon? Glamorgan, if I'm honest, are surprising a few this year. Are they surprising you?
They've been more consistent than in previous years. I mean, they've had big performances in them in the past, but they haven't been consistent enough. This season, 6 out of 10 have been reasonably consistent. Big shot last Friday night, victory at Somerset by 2 runs, very satisfying for all concerned. But now, having got a victory at Taunton, a place where they haven't done very well on average in recent years, they've now got to come here, which is a place where they have nightmare memories the last 2 visits in 21 and 23, so they've got to turn that one around as well.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about that more, but the two sides, there's a change in each side. What about your side, Nick, first?
Well, there will be no surprises to hear that Mason Crane is back in the Glamorgan ranks, given the nature of the pitch, which I have been out in the middle and does look pretty cracked in places. So I suspect Mason Crane might get a little bit of help, and he replaces Jamie McElroy, the left-arm seamer, who was a bit expensive last time out. That means that Tim van der Hoogten, Glamorgan's most experienced seam bowler, is still on the sidelines, having been rested. He's part of the squad for this game and tomorrow's game in Surrey, but not in the 11 today. So Ned Leonard and Andy Gorvin both took 4 wickets in the thrashing of Kent at the weekend, so you can't leave either of those guys out.
That's for sure. Now, this wicket isn't a hybrid. It's the same wicket that was used for the double header here last Sunday against Somerset, where Hampshire scored 178 for 3. Somerset got them for the loss of 6 with a ball to spare, and the women's game as well on before that. Now, Hampshire made one change from the side that narrowly defeated Middlesex last night. There was a late fitness test for left-arm seamer Chris Wood. He's passed it, so he is into the side, and out goes Eddie Jack, who played last night, and Chris Wood is playing his 200th T20 game for Hampshire. So they line up like this: Toby Albert, James Vince, Tom Press, Joe Weatherly, Hilton Cartwright, James Fuller, Benny Howe, Liam Dawson, Scott Curry, Chris Wood and Sonny Baker. Looking forward to seeing Mason Crane, I'll be honest with you, Nick.
I'm sure he's had a successful season after getting fit. Came relatively late into the championship side, but he has been big in the T20, where he's played 8 matches and got 17 wickets at an average of under 15, so he's doing really well. Missed one with a side strain, couldn't then get back for Sunday's game, but very much back tonight, given that he knows how to bowl here and the state of the pitch.
That's right, yeah, he was here for around 8 years, from 2015 to 2023, when he transferred to Glamorgan. 68 matches in the T20, 75 wickets. Sounds like he's just taken a bit more often in T20s for Glamorgan. Yeah, a very, very useful leg spin. It didn't quite happen for him here, but he's doing well down in South Wales. The game that Nick was alluding to, the one big game here, was back in 2021. When it was the last group game for Hampshire. It might have been the last group game for Glamorgan as well. Hampshire had to win it, and not only win it, but they had to win well. Glamorgan batted first in that game, 184 for 4. Hampshire had to score, had to get past 184 inside 14 overs, and they did it in the 13th. Darcy Short, 69. Joe Weatherly got runs that day as well, 43 from just 13. It was an incredible game, and Hampshire, as a result of that, got through to the quarterfinals literally on run rate ahead of Surrey, and it was Hampshire's 5th win in 5, and they had to win all 5 to get through. So it was an amazing day, and obviously one that, you know, doesn't completely resonate with you.
Thank you, Kevin. No more mention.
It's just one to mention. Unfortunately, the game here last time, 2 years ago, we were both here, and that was a bit of a rain-affected game, wasn't it? Which is a bit of a shame.
Yes, so we hung around about two hours for Glamorgan to lose in what is a 5 or 6 hour over thrash in the end. Felt like 5 or 6 hours, 5 or 6 overs they faced in the end, I believe, and got beat. But there we are. New year, new night, new table. These two sides, as you say, in the top 4 and looking good at the moment, but plenty of pressure, plenty of sides around them as well.
That's for sure. Now, if you just joined us here at a very warm Utilita Bowl, Hampshire have won the toss, elected to bat first. They've made one change from last night. Chris Wood, the left-arm seamer, in for the young seamer Eddie Jack, and for Glamorgan, as you just heard, Mason Crane, the former Hampshire player, leg spinner, in for a left-arm seamer. So it's 4th against 3rd here tonight. Glamorgan enjoying a decent run, and you were saying earlier, I mean, that honestly, nobody wins at Taunton. For you guys to win there by the narrowest of margins, that must have given the guys a lot of confidence.
Absolutely, it's a really big win, isn't it, winning at Taunton. It didn't look as though they were going to post enough. A little bit of a surge towards the tail of an end of their innings, with Dan Douthwaite whacking them round. Still didn't think it was quite enough, but for once Somerset didn't get off to a flyer and left themselves too much to do, and Glamorgan just holding on by 2 runs.
Yeah, Glamorgan 176 for 9. 176 for 7. Somerset 174 for 9 on a high-scoring ground. Those aren't their highest figures, and there's been a lot higher scores in that, not just this year, but over the previous few years as well. Who's been doing well for Glamorgan then this year, Nick? That's sort of propelling them into a pretty decent position.
Yeah, I think it's been more a bowling-based success than batting-based. If you look at the stats, Kieran Carlson, 256 runs, is the top scorer. The other batters have been a little bit in and out, but there's been a match-winning performance just about often enough. Up in Middlesex at Old Merchant Taylor's, where you were yesterday, it looked as though Glamorgan were wobbling badly, 60-odd for 4, and then Tribe and Douthwaite came in and started smacking 6s around, and there've been just enough batting performances to get by. Colin Ingram came good at Taunton. He's been misfiring a little bit, but is always capable of a big innings. But it's a decent bowling attack, with Mason Crane going well in terms of wickets. Imad Wasim, who's come in for the last 5 games, has been bowling very economically as well. Dan Douthwaite's always liable to get you wickets, even if he is a little bit more expensive. And as I say, we saw the performances from Ned Leonard and Andy Gorvin, 4 each to shoot down the Kent Spitfires on Sunday.
Kevin James and Nick Webb with you currently. We've got Melissa Story with us as well, that will provide you with line commentary. The game will start in a few minutes' time. We've got the children at the far end forming that column, that little funnel for the players to come through from the far end. They'll be appearing shortly. For Hampshire, well, inevitably, James Vince is leading the run scoring charts with 336. And on the bowling front, just ahead of Mason Crane actually on the wickets side of things, is Scott Curry, who's picked up 19 so far, another 4 for him last night in that narrow win over Middlesex. He's currently 4th on the leading wickets charts in this year's competition. This is the only South Group game going on this evening, so this result for a little while anyway, Nick, will be quite relevant, because a win for either of these two sides will just move them up the table a tad. Glamorgan currently in 3rd. I'm just looking at the run rate actually. It may not actually, it might keep you in 3rd unless you win by a heavy margin. Surrey sits 2nd, but for Hampshire they will go above Glamorgan into 3rd if they can win here this evening. They're expecting around 5,500. That was a pre-sale. Maybe being a hot night, there might be a few more, so we might get up to around 6, maybe 6.5. We've been around about the 8,000 mark for the last 2 or 3 games, which isn't bad at all. And for the last women's game here, which admittedly was a double-header, there was over 4,000 during the women's game alone. So there's been some decent crowds here.
Yeah, Glamorgan going into that double-header experience with the women and the men on Sunday and on Friday next week. It's the first time they've staged Glamorgan women and men together, although they have had a couple of Western Storm and Glamorgan men together.
I think Melissa's there actually. It's Gloucester, isn't it, the next time?
Yeah, I'll have to ask her if she's expecting to play and
no, she
and
will
so
be.
on.
She's playing regularly. I think she said she's captain now or something. Anyway, we had a quick chat earlier on. Nice to hear her back on the Solent airwaves as well as BBC Online, although she's more on BBC Online, of course, because of TMS. Right, the 2 teams are out there in the middle. It's going to be Imad Wasim, the Pakistan
Swansea born.
But Swansea born, yes, that's interesting. Yes. You're claiming him.
Absolutely.
Right,
Imad is a Welshman. We've chanted so-and-so is a Welshman about various overseas products over the years. He really is.
It must be odd calling him an overseas player, and he was born in Swansea. But anyway, here he is then, bowling from our commentary end, the camera gantry, and that's immediately turned on the leg side by Toby Albert, who's opening up. Hampshire have gone sort of roughly back to where they were for the first 3 games batting order when they won the first 3 and were looking particularly good, but with the South Africans having gone on to play for South Africa and Chris Lynn again unfit, which is a shame. Hampshire have reverted back to their openers they had at the start of the competition, as Vince is on the back foot, strokes it into the covers, they're hurrying through for a single, throw comes in the bowler's end, it hits the stumps and they should come back for another.
Phew. Buzzers already, one of the most unfair laws in cricket, as I'm sure everyone says when it goes against them.
That's right, yeah. So 3 without loss then. Hampshire winning the toss, electing to bat first. As I say, this is a wicket that's not hybrid, and it was used on Sunday for the double-header against Somerset, where both teams got into the 170s as Wasim bowls again. That's turned quietly to mid-wicket by Vince, and there is no run. So this is the only meeting between these two?
Yes, it's strange, isn't it, that these two seem to meet just once every year at the moment.
Yeah, too much of a trek. Unless that road gets widened after the bridge. Oh, is he caught behind? Oh, he's gone and Vince has gone. Tried to give himself some room, the ball followed him and he's caught behind by Alex Horton, and Vince goes for just 2.
Usual tight start from Imad Wasim, who's tended to bowl the first over of the match and rarely gets smacked around. Vince just seemed to be retreating, giving himself room possibly to hit over the offside, but he never really got there because, as you said, Imad followed him, and a little nick through to Alex Horton, the young keeper who's come into the game for the last to the side for the last couple of games because Chris Cook was a bit short of runs in this format and looking to the future as well. And nice take from young Alex Horton, obviously standing up the wicket.
Yeah, that's a big blow. James Vince didn't get too many last night at Merchant Taylor. Got 27, 82 here in that Somerset game, but that is a failure, I'm afraid. And it brings Tom Prest in at 3, and Tom Prest, who got back into the side last night after missing the previous 6 games with the South Africans that were here, his place went to one of those, so he's back in the side, but he's yet to make a telling contribution, yet to get into double figures. So 3 for 1, and it's the 22-year-old Prest facing, and again it's just angled into the right-hander, played back to the bowler. and there is no run.
Yeah, very much the travelling gun for hire in the shorter formats these days. Imad, I asked if he was likely to play in the Championship and got laughed at.
Really? Because he took over from your Aussie, didn't he?
Yeah.
As Prest works out on the leg side off the pad, it goes down to short fine. Oh, it's a wide. It's off the keeper's pad. So it was
Hayden Kerr played a couple of matches, picked up a hamstring strain, I believe, some sort of muscle strain anyway, and was promptly ruled out.
Around the wicket again, Prest drives, it's got an edge, it's running to the top end of the ground, it's going for 4 through third man. Not where he was aiming, but it's 4 runs nevertheless to end the first over, and Hampshire are 8 for 1.
Yeah, Hampshire needed that after a tight start to the over from Imad, but the wide and then the nick for 4 gives them a little bit of momentum, albeit at the cost of their skipper. James Vince back in the hutch, and we will see a switch of the seamers will open up. Ned Leonard, by the look of it, with a very creditable 4 for 26 against Kent, has made a bit of an impact with 5 wickets against his former employers Somerset as well. So doesn't tend to have that many variations. A little bit extra speed on the other Glamorgan bowlers, and he's running in towards us and bowling to Albert, who gets tucked up, and it would have been a dot ball had it not been a no ball. So that could be a very expensive start from Ned Leonard, as free hit is signalled.
Yeah, well, as young Noah Cornwall found out yesterday with a no ball, although that was a full toss, that the resulting free hit, and after the hit of the normal ball, one ball went for 12, and it changed the game totally in Hampshire's favour.
Here comes Leonard again, charging in towards us, bowls to Albert, who swings it away on the leg side, bounces down to deep backward square, and just the single is taken. So Leonard manages to minimise the damage, really. And Tom Prest is on strike. The shade from one of the stands is stretching out over the pavilion side of the ground, but pretty baking, and it's the real sun lovers who are in the areas open to the sun. Here's Leonard again, bowls, turned on the leg side up to mid-on for a single by Prest. 12 for 1 are Hampshire in this second over. Commentary from the BBC on various outlets, Sounds, Sport Extra 2, BBC Online, and of course via the county websites as well. Pleasure to have you on board wherever you're listening and however you're listening on this scorching evening here in the south of England, as Leonard is in, and that was an ugly shot as Albert went across his stumps, tried to lift it over fine leg, but got in a bit of a tangle, and it's a dot ball.
Yeah, probably just a little high, but it looks a little full to be playing that as well. He does play that shot well. That's not on that occasion.
Yes, I always think that there must be a tendency or an inclination for the umpires to give you out LBW on that shot, because it looks such a mess when it goes wrong. 12 for 1 then, as that is hit hard down into ground, bounces up to cover, and it's a dot ball as Carlson comes into field comfortably, and Albert goes down to have a suspicious look at the wicket, which does look a bit desert-like from close up anyway. Leonard almost back into the shade at the far end of the ground. In front of the dressing rooms, the pitch away to our right as we look out from the hotel end of the Utilita Bowl. And Leonard is in to bowl. Albert works it on the leg side, but picks out the fielder down at backward square, down Douthwaite, and it's just a single again. So would have been a very tidy over had it not been for the overstep first up. So it means he's still got another ball to bowl.
It's been a good move for him from Somerset.
Yeah, I think so. Getting more first-team cricket already. Played in the back end of last season in the Championship on loan. Then he comes and bowls, and well, Prest getting in a bit of a tangle, trying to work it on the leg side, but hit it straight back to the bowler. So Glamorgan have restricted Hampshire in that over, and the hosts are 13 for 1 after 2 overs.
Yeah, and if you're just joining us, I'm afraid James Vince has already gone in the first over, caught behind, trying to give himself some room to the left-arm spinner Imad Wazim. Vince going for just 2, which is a bit of a blow for everybody concerned with the club. My word, it's very hot here, looking around the ground. The right-hand side's in shade, and that's where most people are, but that's not just because of that, it's also because the wicket is cut slightly to the right. They are slightly closer to the action, but I think that's the place I'd be sitting, if I'm honest. But as you say, a few sun worshippers on the left. Here's Wazim again, plays that away on the leg side, does Toby Albert. There'll only be a single. It's a slight shorter boundary away to our right. Whether the batters will...
Interesting decision to bowl him out from this end, given that it's a shorter hit on the leg side.
Obviously very confident. This is his 396th T20, so he's very experienced. Cut away to backward of, well, it's third man actually, not backward of point, but it's gone straight to the fielder, and there is no run. So Albert is 4, Prest is 5, he's striking. Imad is 8 balls into his spell, and he's just conceded 9. And already picked up James Vince. That's played back to the bowler. Very accurate stuff here.
Yes, it doesn't look much of a intent on run-up, but there's a lot going on in the wrist action, you feel there.
36 years of age now, was he? As he comes in again and bowls. Bit of a windmill action. He's trying to give himself some room. The ball follows him. Prest can't find an angle there. Again, it goes back to the bowler. This is good stuff. Just the 1 run off it so far. 4 balls gone. 14 for 1 are Hampshire. He started the game in 4th. Glamorgan in 3rd. Fuller, driven. Wazim does a great bit of fielding off his own bowler. Almost goes into Toby Albert at the same time.
He doesn't need the other 10 at the moment, Imad.
This is great
doing
stuff.
all his own fielding as well.
Oh, did that hit him on the ankle as it came through, or did he do himself a little bit of a disservice, just favouring his leg somehow? He seems all right now, though. 14 for 1, last ball of the 3rd. Wazim in again, bowl shorter, has cut away, but he's only found the fielder out in the covers, has Prest, and that's the end of the over. Just 1 off it. Hampshire are 14 for 1.
A really tight over from Imad Wazim to put the brakes on Hampshire, as Glamorgan did to Kent at the start of Sunday's match at Sapphire Gardens. Kent lost wickets as well and never really got going. Hampshire just 1 down so far, so plenty of power to add as Glamorgan, as they have done fairly frequently, bring Dan Douthwaite on for over number 4 of the innings, and they may go back to Leonard for over number 6.
Useful all-rounder, Douthwaite, isn't he?
He's a man who can win you matches, can be a bit expensive with the ball, but a very hard hitter on his day. As Douthwaite is into bowl to Albert, who drives into the offside but doesn't get it past mid-off, retreating on the fringe of the 30-metre circle. The outfielders for Douthwaite are a backward square leg on the boundary and a wide-ish third man stroke backward point. There's also a third man up in the circle as well. Everyone casting long shadows as Douthwaite in bowls, and out comes the scoop shot, and this time he has got it away, has Prest, flicking it up and over, fine leg, and it runs away for 4. Pretty much premeditated to have the feeling, but Hampshire needed that one as they move on to 19 for 1 in this 4th over.
It's such a good shot, isn't it, to a ball short of a length. The bowler's done absolutely nothing wrong. It's just up to the batters to manufacture a shot, which is quite infuriating because you don't really want to pitch the ball up too far because you're in the power play. You don't want to bowl it too short.
As Douthwaite pounds in again and Bowls outside off stump, hit hard down into the ground, but they'll scamper through for a single as it just trickled gently out towards point. Prest moves into double figures on 10 and Hampshire onto 20 for 1 in this 4th over on this scorching evening.
It is, isn't it?
Here at the Utilita Bowl, we've got the shades up in front of us, and I'm sure the players will be have been slapping on a bit of sunscreen. As Douthwaite bowls, and there's an appeal for LBW as Albert came across his stumps, tried the same trick that Prest had to flick it up and over fine leg. Thought for a moment it might have clipped the bail, but Albert getting right across his stumps, and certainly Imad at short fine leg is in danger of being brought into the action sooner rather than later. 20 for 1 as Douthwaite in bowls. Shorter ball pulled but mistimed out towards mid-wicket. It's a single by mutual consent out to the edge of the circle. Albert to 6, 21 for 1. Last ball of Douthwaite's over, that's cost 7 so far. Can he get out of it without a further boundary? Dan Douthwaite going at 8.78 in the competition as a whole, but 14 wickets in the 10 matches as in he comes. Bowls, that's down leg side, that'll be called a wide. Not quite sure who's trying to do that. Maybe just anticipating too much the batter coming across his stumps.
Yeah, I think he's tried to slow a ball there.
Didn't quite work. So Glamorgan with plenty of spin resources, with Crane, Imad and Callaway in their ranks. As Douthwaite bowls, chopped down to short third man. Oh, there could be trouble if this hits, but it doesn't. There seemed to be complete miscommunication between the two batters there. It's chopped down to short third man, and for a moment I thought they were going to get stranded in mid-wicket, but single taken. So Prest has 11, Albert has 5. It's 23 for 1 off 4.
Yeah, I don't think Prest was sure about going. He stopped there for a little while and then in the end had to go because Toby Albert was rushing to the danger end. No momentum in the innings as yet. Glamorgan will be happy with the two teams after 4 overs, especially with James Vince already back in the pavilion with just 2. Looks like Imad is going to continue. What a good couple of overs he's bowled. In a power play, left arm spinner, 2 overs, 1 for 9. Here he is again. Bowls to Prest. Prest tries to pull that away on the leg side, gets wrapped on the pad. Called through by Albert. This time the pair do communicate well. And that will be just the one. Is that a leg pie? I didn't see the umpire signal.
Yes.
24 for 1 it will be at the start of the 5th over. So we've got just under 2 overs left of the power play. Hampshire haven't really got going at all yet. As Imad is in again, bowls, and Albert's on the back foot, just plays that quietly to mid-wicket. They'll come through for a single. There is a natural sort of drift on that ball from Imad, isn't it, where it just follows the batters. Lovely flight.
Yes, who seems quite difficult to work out how to get inside and hit through the leg side, or get one side or the other of the ball.
25 T20s for Pakistan, the last of those back in June of last year. That's a slog sweep on the leg side, just over mid-wicket. In fact, he might have got fingertips to it, and has just stopped the ball from going over the rope, but Prest will pick up 2.
Yes, that was very, very close indeed, and as you say, almost resulted in the chance. I think it's the skipper at mid-wicket. He's usually at cover, Kieran Carlson.
And again, this time it's Prest again. He's on the back foot, but again he can't find an angle. It's a wonderful line that Imad is bowling. There are just 2 4s so far, both to Tom Prest, one of them off the edge. So we haven't really had anything out the middle of the bat properly. So 27 for 1. We're halfway through the 5th. Wazin from the hotel end. Bowls, it's down the leg side, flicked away fine, and running up towards the pavilion, and it's not going to quite go. Just pulled up just inside the rope. Hampshire pick up two leg byes.
They won't care that they're getting them in leg byes in this over. Just drifting a little bit too far down leg there, Imad.
Prest has 13 from 15 now. Albert is 7 from 11 at the non-striker's end, and Lazim's just taking his time over this next delivery. Comes in again and bowls. Prest cuts it away fine. No real pace on that shot. May have come off the glove. So it's just a single. In fact, that is the end of the over. The scoreboard was 1 ball behind. 5 overs gone. 1 over left of the power play, and Hampshire are 30 for 1. Still waiting for that spark, something to ignite the innings.
Yep, but just 1 wicket down at this stage. Still got plenty of power in the hutch, or in the bus shelters, as the dugouts resemble in this form of cricket. Mr. Story will be with us fairly shortly, as Ned Leonard, as I predicted, is back, having bowled over 2 to bowl over 6. It seems to be the pattern. They bowl him out for 3 overs at one end if he's going okay, and alternate a couple of seamers at the other. Leonard then in to bowl to Albert, who comes down the wicket and cross bats it up to mid-off, and they'll go through for a quick single. It's not fielded cleanly. 31 for 1.
Again, not timed. It was a bit like this in Hampshire's innings against Somerset, but there was a bit of an excuse there where there was a bit of rain got on the pitch, and it just took a few overs for the sun to bake it hard again. I'm not quite sure why Hampshire aren't timing it tonight, but Glamorgan have started well here.
Not sure if there'll be any lessons that Glamorgan will be able to take into their innings as to how to play it. Pressed on strike on 14. Leonard bowled short, carved away over the offside. That should go all the way. And Leonard, employing a short pitch ball, really didn't work at all. And it was up and over from Toby Albert, and finding the boundary at backward point.
That's a good shot. First shot really to get the crowd excited. Just went about 1 row back, just over the advertising boards.
37 for 1. Last few balls off the power play as Leonard in to bowl. Another big hit through the leg side, and that's been clubbed up through wide, long on for 4 more. And Albert finding his touch, finding his timing. That was not a thing of particular beauty, that shot, but it was a shot of some savagery as he smashed it away.
It's amazing, isn't it? 1 shot, and all of a sudden there's a bit of confidence there, and a couple of short balls, though, it has to be said, from Leonard. Did he need to bowl them that short? I don't know, but because generally Glamorgan have just bowled accurately.
Yeah, 11 off the first 3 balls of this over has got Hampshire going in this power play, as Leonard is in to bowl. This is edge down to third man. Throw comes in as they scamper through for a single. But the umpire's not required to make a decision, because Tom Prest was home at the striker's end.
So what have we got? 12 off this over so far, much better from the home side.
Leonard relatively inexperienced, particularly in this short form of the game, but as I say, he's been doing pretty well so far in this campaign, as that has bowled him. Stepping back, trying to give himself some room there, Prest, and he's gone, and it's 42 for 2 in the 6th over.
Yeah, he's trying to give himself probably a little bit too much room. Ball just hitting the top of the bails, top of the stumps. Prest has gone for 15. First time he's gone into double figures in this year's competition. Hasn't quite got going, hasn't quite been a competition for him as yet, and that's the 2nd wicket in the power play, with still 1 ball left. And Joe Weatherly, who is a man in form, strides to the crease. He played his part last night in that win against Middlesex with 41 from 22. Somerset here 60 not out from 42. I think he's going to need, Hampshire are going to need from him a similar knock.
So chance for the fielders to take some drinks on board, and I think they'll need them on this hot evening. Hampshire's new batter Weatherly comes to the crease, averaging 35 and with a strike rate of 136 as he takes his guard, scuffs away in the dust, does a few exercises. And Glamorgan have now put one of their fielders back to third man rather than backward point, one of their outfielders, for the last ball of the power play, whether they're expecting a big sort of up and over uppercut. Leonard bowls, and it is a textbook forward defensive from Weatherly to start his innings. It's 42 for 2 after the power play here on BBC Sport Online. Kevin James and Melissa Story.
So James Vince with 2 from just 3 balls, Tom Press with 15 from 19. The 2 batters who are back in the pavilion. 4th versus 3rd here at this game. Both sides in the top 4 in the qualification places. Welcome back, Melissa.
Thank you very much.
It's been a while.
I know, it's been far too long. Been looking forward to this one for weeks and weeks, and particularly with just how much kind of rests on this game for both Glamorgan and Hampshire as we get to the crunch stages of this competition. So Andy Gorvin with the ball in hand. Toby Albert on strike. He comes in over the wicket, starts with a low full toss, which is driven down towards long on. The end of the power play, the field now spread. It's a single added to the total, and Hampshire 43 for 2. He's got a deep cover, long on, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square, and a long off who was hiding from us below.
Can I say thank you for squeezing us in tonight? Playing for Gloucestershire, busy job with a law firm, TMS commentary. I mean, how did you squeeze us in?
A lot of meticulous planning. Gorvin, full on the pads, flicked away by Weatherly. His first runs of the evening. Finds deep mid-wicket, 44 for 2 Hampshire. I have a slightly, I'd say, psychotic calendar with lots of different colour keys, and kind of have to balance everything and squeeze it in. Has Gorvin outside the off stump, but it's dragged by Albert. Down towards long on. Ran the first one hard, looking for the single, but the fielder quick down there, 45 for 2.
And you are the first person we've had here on commentary on the gantry that plays Tier 2 cricket. Do you know that? I mean, what an accolade. The first person ever. I think we should have a picture on the back.
Gorvin back of a length now. On the back foot is Weatherly. Punches into the onside. They're coming back for a second. Throw comes into the non-strikers. And Albert, who called him through for that second run, gets back in the end, 47 for 2. It's been good so far from Gorvin. A Tier 2 cricketer, maybe not the most successful one, but
one half-century.
One who's trying really hard.
You've got a half-century to your name this year.
Yeah, Gorvin outside the off stump, going back to that one, guiding it to short third, scampering through for the single. 6 off this over so far, 1 more ball to go. It's my reinvention of myself. I've gone from opening the bowling to batting at 3 and barely bowling a ball. It's what happens to you when you get old. Suddenly the shoulder starts feeling a bit more stiff and you fancy yourself as a bit of a batter. Outside the off stump, cut away, a lot of work for the deep cover fielder to do, going round to his left, getting the angle right there that Albert could come back for the second. Let's put skates on for that second run in the end though. 7 overs gone, 50 up for Hampshire, 50 for 2. And a tidy first over there from Gorvin, who will just play this role here for a few overs, probably likely at the death as well, with those variations and ability to bowl in the block hole. That change of pace, I think, from kind of Gorvin, and then you've got the more express pace of someone like a Ned Leonard, who of course picked up that big wicket. I think Glamorgan doing the right thing here as well, bringing Mason Crane into the attack.
Well, I thought he was going to get a big of applause in this.
I was delighted when I saw Mason Crane the other day, because I was like, look, I know you play for Glamorgan, but I'm still a big fan.
He was a firm favourite here, 2015 to 2023, played 68 T20 matches, and not with with a fair bit of success as well. I thought the crowd were going to stand up and, well, maybe just give a polite applause. It wasn't much at all. It's like they've forgotten him already.
They're savage down here.
Ugh. harsh crowd as Crane comes in. That's driven back past him by Weatherly. Goes up towards the top end of the ground, not timed. And oh my word, they nearly went for 2. That would have been suicidal.
Well, they've been proactive here, Albert and Weatherly, and this is what they'll do, particularly Weatherly at the start of his innings as he gets going. But it is that kind of surface as well. The boundaries haven't come as freely, so they're looking at these pockets of the ground and thinking, where can we find those 2s?
Into the 8th over then, 51 for 2. It's Albert to face. Crane bowls. It's turned away towards deep mid-wicket along the ground. 52 for 2.
I mean, I'm delighted for Mason Crane because I think this move really has been career-changing, because when he was at Hampshire, he just almost couldn't get that guarantee of consistently being selected, whilst I think when he's gone over to Glamorgan now, he's actually been given that clearer role.
He has 17 wickets for him already this season, as Weatherly treats him with respect as it plays out on the offside.
And obviously as a spinner too, you do get more and more confidence as you grow and you become more mature, and you can just see that almost in his demeanour and the way he conducts himself. You can see that confidence now with the ball in hand.
That's for sure. I think that was his favourite end as well, the pavilion end, from what I remember. He used to bowl a lot of overs. Let's cut away down to short third man. The throw will go in towards Crane, but it's a single to Weatherly. He moves on to 6, 53 for 2.
Are you sure you're okay about him leaving still? I know it was a few years ago, but we can get some tissues brought up here and we can talk about it. See this as a free therapy session.
Yeah, I might need to go to the wellness room or sensory room or whatever it is that you do these days, as that's played off the back foot by Albert. 24, it's probably another of those. 54 for 2, it's probably something simple like just go and lay in a darkened room.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not really sure how a fidget spinner might help you there, but I tend to walk out to a field in the middle of nowhere and just scream really loudly. It really helps.
Is that what it's come to?
Unfortunately, yes.
Is that what Tier 2 cricket does for you? As Crane bowls and Weatherly turns that into the gap on the leg side, and he runs the first one very quickly, and they're going to turn for 2. They should get for 2 home. The throw goes into Albert's end at the bowler's end, and that's 2 runs to end Mason Crane's first over. That's not a bad one. He's first over. Oh, it's gone off the screen. Weren't many anyway. 56 for 2. Was it 6? Thank you very much. So you've played a double header as well with the Gloucestershire men. I mean, what's that like on a double header?
It's really overwhelming actually, because of course, for those who don't know, Tier 2 women's cricket is still amateur, so you're working or you're playing and training around your day job, and then suddenly at the weekend showing up and playing in front of crowds that you've never played in front of before. And our first double header was away to Sussex. I field on the boundary normally, and yeah, I was telling you in the lift that there was one member of the crowd who every time the ball came towards me would just shout fumble, which I found hilarious. I loved it because I've always thought, what's it like to kind of be on the boundary of people going up against you? But I know for other players it has been a really overwhelming experience because they're just not used to that whatsoever. So in comes Southwaite, and it's been hammered straight back over his head. He leaped for the ball, but struck with some power there from Albert, who moves on to 28, and the Hawks 60 for 2.
That's the thing though, you haven't played at a decent level until somebody in the crowd starts giving you stick. Then you've kind of made it.
I loved it. If anything, if anyone is going to a Gloucestershire women's game who is listening and you see me on the boundary, this is my invitation to abuse me within the legal limits, please, because I found it so thrilling. Southwaite over the wicket, past the umpire now, Yorker, and it's squeezed between the legs of Albert down towards fine leg. And the fielder in the shadows of the pavilion. Fields, just a single. 5 off this over so far, and Hampshire batters getting the all-important boundary off the first ball as well, which just relieves that bit of pressure going forwards. Southwaite with a deep cover. Long on. Deep mid-wicket, deep square and fine leg. So bringing the stumps into play here with this field. Bowls outside the off stump, driven nicely by Weatherly, just for a single. Score 62 for 2. But it is definitely, you know, a big change in terms of obviously not being paid to play, but actually getting access to physios and getting fitness tested and having proper strength and conditioning routines. This is new territory for quite a lot of players, and it is a lot to fit in around your day jobs, around the university, and for school for a lot of players still as well, which makes me feel dreadfully old. Southwaite. Yorker outside the off stump and well executed. Stepping away into the onside was Albert, looking to free up that offside, and if anything just gave him a bit too much room. Couldn't get any power behind that one.
He's played well here, Toby Abbott, restored to opening the batting after Pretorius left to get his maiden 100 in his debut test for South Africa.
With a bit of a controversial decision in there as well, wasn't
was
there?
Oh.
If I remember correctly, Southwaite. Full, driven back to him by Albert on the bounce. No one from the crowd falling for that one. You tend to get one or two cheering, but I'm sure there's not as many Glamorgan fans in tonight who would have made themselves heard for that bump ball. 62 for 2, 1 ball left in this over. I think he maybe gloved one behind or nicked one behind and didn't walk, and I was somehow caught up in all the politics of it on social media despite having not watched a single ball of the innings.
Okay. What, they asked you if it was out or not?
Well, not me personally, but driven down the ground towards long off. Only a single. As Smale patrolling the boundary. And it's a good recovery from Southwaite after being hit for that 4 on the first ball. The Hawks 63 for 2 after 9 overs, approaching that halfway stage.
That must be amazing that they think, oh, who are we going to call it? Oh, Melissa, she'll know.
I mean, I was just, you know, looking and kind of intrigued. I follow all kind of cricket. I think it's very rare that I don't have a game of cricket in front of me, particularly at the moment where we're so spoiled with the men's test series and the women's series against India and then all this T20 cricket. It's good. I usually have multiple screens in front of me at once, almost a bit like in Back to the Future 2.
It's Mason Crane getting ready to bowl his second over. His first over went for 6. For those of you who don't know, Melissa, if you're new to listening and watching, Melissa started her commentary journey with us back in 2021, up here, Southern Vipers match.
And I forgot how warm it is up here as well.
I don't think it was quite as warm as it was then, but there's a reverse sweep. It's gone in the air, it's bounced once down to short third man. They'll come through for a single and Hampshire move on to 64 for 2. So yes, 2021, and here you are now. Well, you've done a few, you know, well, you were with us for about a couple of years, weren't you?
Couple years, yeah, and then moved to Bristol.
Moved to Bristol, which is where your life is now, hence why you play for Gloucestershire. As Crane is in, that's hit hard down the ground by Weatherly. Has he hit it hard enough? Not quite, as well fielded, right in the deep by Asa Tribe, the man from Jersey. Is everybody called Asa in Jersey? Is that a Jersey name? Asa. I've never heard of Asa before.
Again, I'm not the authority on test dismissals, and unfortunately not the authority on Jersey names as well. But I'll do some research for next year.
Would you? Thank you. That's hit over extra cover. Lovely shot, Joe Weatherly. That's one bounce away over the rope, and Hampshire move on to 70 for 2.
Really like that option from Weatherly. We saw that kind of attempted reverse sweep on the first ball from Albert, and actually with Mason Crane moving the ball away from both of these right-handers to the shorter boundary, he's got to straighten his line here. He's got 3 on the leg side.
Well, he does bowl the googly. He'll get it out shortly. That's hit in the air, but it'll fall just short of deep mid-off. He's hit it low and hard, and that's a good bit of fielding, preventing that from going over the rope. That's Will Smale. And who's the more famous, Will Smale or Sophia Smale? Who would you say?
I mean, Sophia Smale had some big moments in her first year in the 100, took some very big wickets.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't want to pit them against each other.
No, that's his sister, by the way, who's currently playing for Essex, having been with Western Storms. That's quietly turned away behind square for a single, and Weatherly moves on to 18, and Hampshire on to 73 for 2, coming towards the end of the 10.
I mean, Tribe and Smale there have both saved 4 runs between them in that over from 2 superb stops down the ground. They're both quite wide off the bowling of Mason Crane here, but made good ground.
Crane in again, last ball of his second, hooks it away, is it going to carry to mid-on? Not quite, bounces once, plugs, and they will come back for 2. It was in the air a long time, just dipped on the fielder right at the last minute. And at the end of 10 overs, Hampshire are 75 for 2, having won the toss and elected to bat first. So, I say this wicket was played on Sunday, where both sides got 170, Somerset chasing it down with just a ball to spare. Hampshire also had a problem in the first few overs, really, getting the ball off the square with some really good bowling from Henry and Overton and Riley Meredith, as you'd expect. They seem to just extract a little bit.
Yeah, it pains me to say it, but Somerset doing very well this year. When you look at the kind of lineup they consistently put out, it seems like they have all those kind of facets ticked, but thought that last year, and who lifted the trophy? Not Somerset.
Had a Gloucester do that?
No idea. Gloucestershire have had a bit of a ropey start to the season. There was buses all around Bristol saying the champions are in town and posters everywhere, and unfortunately lost their first 5 games, which is the curse of the Blast. But
picked up a bit lately.
yeah, they've got a few wins. So in comes Gorvin, outside the off stump, whip offered and slashed past backward point. You've got a hand to it, takes the pace off that one, and the short third retrieves the ball. Hampshire batters return for 2 runs, 77 for 2. Weatherly on strike on 20 off 14 balls. Albert at the other end, 33 off 26. They're picking up lots of 2s here this evening, Hampshire. As Gorvin. Yorker waits for it as pace taken off as Weatherly drives out square of the wicket on the offside. Single to the total, 78 for 2.
Yeah, very medium pace, isn't he, Gorvin? Quite small, 28 years old. We won't mention his other claim to fame, will we?
Oh,
Can we?
We could.
Could we?
It's a good throwback, isn't it? It's Gorvin, side the off stump, back of a length, giving himself room. It's Albert, picks out the fielder at deep cover. 79 for 2.
I feel if you said it, you'd get away with it more than I would.
I don't know about that.
You did know, didn't you?
No, I mean, I'm not
told
sure
us.
about. I mean, she did say it on air a few years ago.
Yeah, she did, yeah.
As in comes Gorvin. Slash to backward point. Won't beat the fielder on this occasion. Dot ball.
You're clearly thinking about it, whether you should or not, shouldn't you?
It's the legal brain. It's ticking. It's considering all the risks. Doing a full assessment.
There's a certain current women's player who used to go out with him. There we go. Should we leave it at that?
Yeah, let's go for that. Full, hammered down the ground. Gets cut off in the end by Tribe. But yet again, Albert comes back for the second. There's been 6 runs off this over. Neat bowling from Gorvin. See if he can finish this over. You clearly want to say who. You're giggling away like a little
because
school
you're
child.
the legal beagle here, and you know, what's it called? Hang on, I'll come.
Gorvin on the pads of Weatherly, clipped away. Finds deep mid-wicket. So a single to finish. 7 off the over. Gorvin's figures not for 15 so far of his 2 overs. 82 for 2, the Hawks, after 11. I will just caveat, I'm not a legal specialist in gossip. I wish I was. That would be a great career.
But there is a phrase, isn't there? There is a phrase which, when you say too much, you can pinpoint who the person is you're talking about. What's that phrase called? You know what I'm saying?
Signposting?
No, that's not quite what I'm saying. No, it's another word, another phrase, where you association, isn't it? Where you can put the building blocks together from what somebody says, and you say, it's such and such. Clearly not. Anyway, let's move on. 82 for 2, Vince for 2, and Press for 15 are the 2 batters out. And Weatherly is currently 24 not out of 18, and Toby Albert going well again with 34 from 27. It's going to be Ben Kellaway with his off breaks from the pavilion end. He's going to bowl it round the wicket. Oh, does he bowl both, left and right?
Oh, now we're talking.
I've heard about
Come on,
this.
then.
What are we going to get? Mind you, you have to tell the batter first, don't you? You can't just rock up and suddenly bowl left arm, having bowled up right arm previously. But we'll keep an eye on this. This one's right arm, I can tell you that. As that's a slog sweep on the leg side. Weatherly is got. Oh, it's just over the rope, just over the fielder. It's gone for 6.
I understand why the fielder's a few off the boundary there, because Hampshire have picked up those 2s so well, square of the wicket, that they have felt the need to come off. But you do just wonder there whether the fielder, if he had stayed on the rope, I don't think he was ever going to catch that, but whether he could have jumped and parried the ball back inside. It just hung in the air, the ball, for an age. And again, Weatherly picks up that boundary. First ball, pressure on the bowler. Will we see a left arm delivery?
Now he's staying with right arm, as that's Fuller, and it's worked away along the ground to deep square leg. There'll only be a single though. Weatherly moves on to 31.
You know, I think so much is in the batter's favour in T20 that you should let a bowler, if they're skilled and talented enough to bowl with both arms, they shouldn't have to notify the batter, in my opinion. Yeah, it'd be funny.
It would be if you were out. He's gone for the slog sweep again. This time it's Toby Albert. It's slightly misfielded, but a good recovery right on the boundary. Just the one run, 91 for 2.
But when's it ever funny when you're out?
Never.
Exactly.
No.
So you may as well be like, well, he got me because he had bowled with his right arm until then and then bowled him with his left arm. It's a good excuse. Batters love coming up with excuses. I've learnt this year. Every time I get out, there was either a bird flying in the way or the sun was too low.
There's the left armour, and that's out on the leg side, and he's going to pick up a wicket. Called to deep square leg, and it's Joe Weatherly with a slog sweep again, and it's carried all the way to the fielder, and it is Kellaway, the left arm spinner this time, who picks up the wicket, and Hampshire on 90 for 3. Should bowl more of that.
Yeah, I mean, that change of angle in the end, it was there to be hit by Joe Weatherly. He'd done so well. Now just being a bit more cautious with his innings, was just looking to put the foot down. But Hampshire lose their 3rd and the 12th over, and suddenly it feels like a pitch like this. I know the other week with that Somerset game, it was a similar start for Hampshire. They started off quite slow but managed to accelerate to that total around 170 in the end. But it's so crucial on pitches like this, where you can't pick up those boundaries more freely, that you do create those partnerships. And I think with Cartwright coming in here now, he's got a really good opportunity to actually bat a lot more time than he's had this year so far for Hampshire.
He has, yeah, 3 innings, a couple of 20s. The game against Somerset here came in very late on, so just a couple not out. But yeah, he's played a couple of useful knocks in the middle order as Hilton Cartwright, playing for his 3rd club in this T20 competition. Previously played for Middlesex and Derbyshire.
Do you reckon he's going for the kind of bingo card, like the Ravi Bopara? Maybe it's like a Ravi Bopara, I reckon, should have like a fan club where if you start ticking off all the clubs he's played for, then you get a free T-shirt or something.
I reckon Imran Tahir is the one that's won that.
Oh, yeah.
His number of clubs is off the scale.
A bit like a pub crawl, but you've got to go play for different counties.
Be expensive.
Memorial pint glass at the end.
Now, what are we getting here? We're getting some off breaks with the right arm. He's down the wicket straight away, Cartwright, announcing himself with the maximum straight down the ground. Oh, hello.
Wow, welcome to the middle, Hilton Cartwright. It was there to be hit really with that off-spin angle into the right-hander. Almost went for the Rishabh Pant there of, don't need time to see myself in.
Love that.
If you're striking it that well in your first ball, then we could be in for a bit of a treat. Or this could be the best curse I've ever implemented.
Well, that was a great start. Yeah, he's had a sort of the 3 games that he's done all right, but you haven't really noticed him. 24 or 15 balls against Sussex at Hove, 20 or 14 balls last night against Middlesex. Useful innings in the middle order, but not headlines. Straight away, first shot, he's announced himself. He's already making headlines here. Great shot, 96 for 3. Last ball of the 6th over. Now Kellaway's going to change. What are we going to get here? We're getting round the wicket something. It must be an off break, surely. Right arm. Yeah, it is, yeah. Cartwright's on the back foot, cuts that away, goes to backward a point. It's no run. There is 12 overs gone, and Hampshire on 96 for 3. Melissa Story is going to stay on, and next to her is Nick Webb coming back.
Thank you very much indeed. I was just pondering, it's a shame I'm not on commentary duties for Glamorgan on Sunday, otherwise it might have been a unique situation of commentating with Melissa Story on Thursday and then commentating on her actions on Sunday, but sadly it's not me in the commentary box. I'll be still lurking somewhere in the stand.
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to that double header, certainly having the 7-side derby and having both the women's and the men's teams playing at the same venue. If you've got a free Sunday, I'd say come down for 11 o'clock the women's game starts, so it's daytime, you can still have your evening. And it's Mason Crane changing ends from the hotel end. He's turning delivery, which Albert reaches for. Balloons off the gloves of the keeper. Won't go for any runs. That's certainly probably the most turn we've seen so far from Crane. I just wonder whether bowling to that shorter offside boundary, he wanted a change up. Although now, of course, that risk if he strays too much onto the pads or too short. This one is flatter. It's pulled down the ground towards wide long on. Will just be a single. It's the score 97 for 3. There's quite a lot of smoke billowing up opposite us coming from the woods. So.
Oh yes. That's somewhat worrying.
I've had that that before on commentary, actually, where a fire started.
Forest fire stops play. Hope not.
Fingers crossed that one. It's just someone's barbecue maybe gone out of control. Over the wicket, Crane flights this one up, driven past, extra cover, and away to the boundary for 4 runs. Nicely piercing that gap, and the 100 up for the Hawks, 101 for 3 halfway through the 13th.
That was really nicely placed, wasn't it, by Cartwright, just to squeeze it past cover, racing away to the ropes. Not easy to find gaps along the ground by this stage of the innings, but he managed to there.
Crane, 5 off this over so far. Pickens has run up, but batter not quite ready there. As Cartwright on strike, plays this one more cautiously, dropping it into the offside. Point running backwards to retrieve the ball, and single to the total. 102 for 3, although did they not take the single?
Yeah, I think they did.
I believe they did. Our scorecard just hasn't updated. Crane in with a full toss, dragged down the ground for 1. 102 for 3. I don't think they did take a single.
Peculiar, just sort of assumed they would, given that it looked like a fairly easy one, but there we are.
1 ball left in this over. Crane gets smacked down the ground. Timed nicely by Cartwright. Dead straight again. Nothing the fielders could do. Well, maybe he's turning down singles because he fancies it tonight.
I think we were right and the board for a while was wrong.
Well, there we go.
There we are. 109 for 3 anyway at the end of the 13th over. Welcome back, Mason Crane. We know what you do. The approach from the Hawks batters. 109 for 3 after 13. Here on BBC Radio Solent, BBC Sport Online, 5 Sports Extra 2, and of course on the county video streams as well. There's Hampshire on the charge a little bit at the moment. There have been a couple of reasonably big overs, the ironic applause, while a couple of Glamorgan fielders retrieved the ball from, I suspect, somewhere under the sight screen.
Well, I like that they both opted to climb over the advertising boards rather than walk 2 metres to their left to go around them.
2 tall young men, Smale and Tribe, who now have to make their way up to the far end of the ground. So they've got a 100-metre, well, I won't say sprint, 100-metre fast jog. 109 for 3. Andy Gorvin, the fresh-faced 28-year-old, is in to bowl. That's played into the covers by Albert. They'll go through for a single. And that makes it 110 for 3. Wicket takers so far: Imad, Leonard and Kellaway. And the man out, Vince for 2, Pressed for 15. So that's worked on the leg side by Cartwright, who's come in and looked very busy. Just the single this time, out to deep square. And the last batter out, Weatherly, caught at square leg by Douthwaite off Kellaway's left armour. 111 for 3. Nelson on the board, 1 foot off the ground, please. And, well, a wild reverse pull almost comes out from Cartwright. And misses through to Horton, who did well not to be distracted by the furious flurry of arms and legs in front of him. Dot ball. Gorvin in, bowls, hoiked away, over, fine leg, and this one will carry all the way for 6 as he got inside that one. Toby Albert. It was more than a scoop. There was genuine power in it as well. He moves on to 44.
Yeah, I'm not sure he was totally in control, but with no fielders back there, Albert just knowing he had to get enough on it to get it over the fielder inside the ring. And from not many runs this season, it's been a great innings so far.
Next delivery, driven down the ground to long off for a single. Albert moves to 45. And the total on to 118 for 3 as the shade from the stand and the pavilion now spreading out and reaching the middle, providing some welcome respite for the players in the middle, as this is driven on the leg side by Cartwright up towards wide long on. They take one, they have a look, and they decide against coming back for a second, but pretty useful over for the Hawks. 10 off, 119 for 3 as we get a blast of blur. Their reunion was last year.
Well, we've already had some Oasis.
We had a bit
tonight.
of Oasis, so we've got to have a bit of Blur, maybe a bit of Pulp soon as well, complete the Britpop vibe.
Well, Pulp had a great set at Glastonbury this year, didn't they?
They had a great set in Birmingham as well before, because I went to see them.
Are you a big Britpop person?
Well, I was a little bit old even by the time Britpop rolled around, but I enjoyed it.
So Imad Wasim is going to be bowling his final
You're
over.
probably too young to remember it, aren't you? Don't depress me.
My parents have raised me with a great appreciation for Britpop.
Pleased to hear it.
So Wasim over the wicket, 4th stump line delivery, can only be punched back to him by Cartwright, who's 19 off 8 deliveries. And Imad Wasim with figures of 1 for 13 off his first 3, all inside the power play. It's a crafty operator. Is this one going back as Cartwright picks out extra cover, but he's sat deep on the ring. Allows Hampshire through for a single, 120 for 3. In terms of who will be kind of called on to bowl at the death from a Glamorgan perspective, as Wasim bowls a straighter delivery, backing away, giving himself room and cutting the ball out towards deep cover for a single, 121 for 3. Who are the names to look for Glamorgan? Who are we going to see?
Well, it's quite often Van der Hoogten and or McIlroy, neither of whom are in the side tonight. So probably Douthwaite will bowl one of the last 2, I would imagine. Leonard, I think, will be given another.
Imad on the stumps, going back, almost dangerously Cartwright to a fuller delivery. Works at square of the wicket to a vacant square leg, 122 for 3. There's a particularly vocal Hampshire fan there. He's testing out just how long and loud he could scream Hampshire. It's a county which almost lends itself to being shouted for a long period of time. Down on one knee, sweeping behind square, and the fielder can't cut it off. Out there on the boundary, Ned Leonard brings up the 50 for Toby Albert. 50 off 37 balls, raising his bat to his home crowd. Plenty of support, hiding in the shade of the pavilion. We'll be grateful for their openers' contribution in building this platform for Hampshire. I mentioned that this is an important game for both sides. With Glamorgan sat 3rd in the table, Hampshire at 4th, going deep in the crease. Working the ball on the onside, fielder dashes in from the boundary, keeps it down to 1, and that's Imad Wasim's 4 overs bowled, figures of 1 for 21, and Hampshire 127 for 3 off 15 overs.
Yeah, Imad continues to be Glamorgan's most economical bowler, going for less than a run a ball, and when you're bowling in the power play, you can't really argue with that. It's going to be a tough game for you lot in Cardiff on Sunday.
I mean, I was about to say that Imad Wasim walked in halfway through my concussion test last time we were both at the same ground. He was looking for a different room, I think, and I was there answering the kind of questions you do where you have to remember lots of different words and repeat them out and say the months of the year backwards, and suddenly a knock on the door and in comes Imad Wasim, and I had to try not to kind of fangirl whilst...
Was that a part of the test? Who is this Pakistani Welsh-born spinner?
They had an international player from each country lined up outside for me to identify. Not quite hard when it got to Namibia, but I smashed it.
127 for 3 off 15 as Ned Leonard is back in the attack from the pavilion end. Muscled away by Albert up to long on for a single, 128 for 3. Did you have to do the sort of base tests at the start of the season then to check how intelligent you are normally as opposed to how intelligent you are when you've had a bang on the head?
Yes, I did, and the worst thing is you have to kind of rank your intelligence off the offset of saying do you think you're above average intelligence, or below average intelligence, which felt like a bit of a weird one to claim. Obviously, I went above.
Here's Leonard bowling to Cartwright, drives hard to mid-off, goes through for a quick single. It's a slight misfield. Above average modesty as well.
You know it. But yeah, you get given lots of words, and you kind of have to see how many goes it takes you to remember them all, and my tactic is to kind of put them into a story in your mind so that you can remember that you took your dog to the cinema, and at the cinema you ate some chips, and you can kind of combine it together to remember as many words as you can.
Leonard is in to bowl, and that is an outrageous reverse pull, I will say, from Albert, as he made the most of that, whacked it away to the backward point boundary. That was pretty much off the meat of the bat, wasn't it?
And he's picked it up almost from past the leg stump, because it was a good bit of bowling from Leonard. He actually did follow him, but just really well executed from Albert. He's been out there 40 balls now, you would expect that, and he'll be wanting to be there at the end for Hampshire, having anchored this innings, but now with the opportunity to accelerate.
He's on fire, halfway through the Leonard over as he bowls a very short ball. Is that going to be legit? Just about, as Albert motions, having to reach for the ball above his head to try and persuade the umpires that it was not legitimate.
It's almost part of the routine now for batters. Even if you think it was a fair delivery, you have to look to both umpires and kind of shrug as if to say, come on.
It's a dot ball as Leonard is in, smashed away through mid-wicket. He'll bisect the fielders at mid-wicket and long on. And Albert really is flying at the moment as Leonard scuffs at the turf in disgust with himself rather than anything. And that was powerfully hit and well placed, with of course a full complement of boundary fielders on the leg side. Albert moves to 60. It's 137 for 3 as Leonard's on his way in again towards us. Bowls, and Albert straight drives, it bounces up and past the bowler, but it's just a single up to long on. So there's 11, I think, off that Leonard over. It's 138 for 3 after 16 here on BBC Radio Solent, BBC 5 Sports Extra 2 and online as well.
I think that last over from Leonard there just proving what's difficult on this surface, and I'm sure the Hampshire bowlers will be watching that anything obviously full up there in the block hole has been harder to get away. Even that good length as well with pace taken off those cutters, but as soon as you drop a bit too short, the pitch isn't offering as much. If anything, it's probably just sticking. So once you've given yourself time in the middle and got used to the pitch, just as Albert has, you can almost sit back and wait. We've seen a few pull shots really go through that region between long on and deep mid wicket rather than square of the wicket, which is always that indication of either bowlers choosing to take pace off the ball or the surface just slowing down a bit more. So
if only we had commentator Cam, you could have seen Melissa demonstrate the shots as she talked about them.
It's an awful habit I've picked up, and the reason why, well, one of the many reasons why I'll never be on TV. You've got to shadow back the shots as you describe them, as Douthwaite over the wicket. Starts with a full ball outside the off stump. It's been lofted up towards deep backward point where there is a fielder. For a moment, Mason Crane there thinking he was in the game, but it's just a single. Pushing it so wide there, you suspect that if Albert had just left the ball, it might have been called a wide ball. But it's what he's trying to do. You can see with a deep backward point, deep cover, long off, deep mid wicket. And long on as well. There's 5 outside the ring. Douthwaite, full toss, hammered down towards cow corner. Fielder does well to cut it off, but actually in the process, tumbling, propels the ball past long on, who had come to support his teammate, and allowed Hampshire through for a much more comfortable 3, which you don't often see.
Poor old Colin Ingram, 40-year-old, no respect for age. He's got to hurl himself around the boundary. Just got too strong a hand on it instead of flicking it to Ace of Tribe there.
52-run partnership this between Albert and Cartwright. Stouthwaite is in, attempted ramp from Albert, follows him. Not signalled wide, much to the disappointment of Albert, but I think that was a good bit of bowling. And again, one of those things where, as a batter, if you miss it, you've also got to look to the umpire as if to say, surely that must have been a wide. That was the only reason I missed it.
Yes, but he was running around his crease, wasn't he? Bowler gets a bit more latitude then.
62 off 45, Albert. Stouthwaite. Leisurely run into the crease. Another low full toss dragged from outside the off stump by Albert towards long on. Just the one. Total to 143 for 3. And always that danger when you have batted in the middle for a little while and you're getting tired, particularly on a warm evening like this, that you do start trying to overcomplicate things, that you're moving around in your crease, not having that solid base. And when you are tired as well, the shots can get a little bit lazier. You're dragging the ball to the leg side rather than hitting it through the offside. But Cartwright now on strike on 25. This one is a wide ball. There's a bit of a trigger movement from Cartwright. I think maybe made Stouthwaite think he had to push it a bit wider, but that one almost not landing on the cut strip.
Yes, it was pushed wide deliberately, but Cartwright, having made that trigger movement as you described, then left his feet where they were, so thus getting the wide.
2 balls left in this over. Stouthwaite into Cartwright, full toss, and that one will be 6. Comfortably into the crowd. Well, you can't bowl that kind of ball to the shorter boundary. And Hilton Cartwright's on strike, 150 up for the Hawks in the 17th over.
Yeah, this is starting to mount up very quickly for the home side, and Glamorgan desperately need a wicket or two to get some new batters at the crease. But they haven't had a wicket since the 12th over. Albert and Cartwright in full flow.
Final ball of the over. Stouthwaite. This one down the ground. Fielder can only watch it go over his head. Consecutive 6s from Hilton Cartwright. The perfect opportunity for the big hitting overseas to come in, make an impact for Hampshire at a time of the competition where it's so crucial. This fixture for these two sides. Sat 4th and 3rd in the table. And he's making the most of it. 37 off just 14 balls. The Hawks 156 for 3. You'll continue, and then you'll be joined by Kevin James.
Thank you very much indeed, Melissa. 156 for 3 here on BBC Radio Solent, BBC 5 Sports Extra, BBC Sport Online, and the Hampshire and Glamorgan websites. This is Hampshire really in full flow at the moment, Kevin.
Yeah, it is, yes. The innings has just got stronger and stronger, actually, as it's gone on, isn't it? Seen a slightly different side of Hilton Cartwright tonight. He's sort of gone under the radar a little bit, but he's proving his worth. Toby Albert, what a knock from him so far.
In comes Gorvin, and the ramp comes out again, and it's worked again, I think, or is it just about to tap back inside the ropes by Crane? They'll turn and come in for 3. And well run as well, as Cartwright makes it back to the striker's end. Albert picking up another 3 runs and looking really confident, as you'd expect at this stage of the innings, as he moves on to 66, 159 for 3. And Gorvin, medium pacer, looking to bowl wicket to wicket. Bowls. Cartwright drives into the covers. This will be just a single. 160 for 3. It's the board catching up with us. Gorvin retreating into the shade at the pavilion end. 70 these two. And he comes, bowls to Albert, the reverse pull as well. That's a spectacular shot, soaring away over the ropes at 3rd man, but it wasn't an edge, it wasn't an uppercut. That really hit very strongly indeed as Albert switched hands.
He's tried to cut his fingers across the seam as well there, Gorvin. His ramp shots have got better and better as the innings has gone on. Couldn't quite locate the bat initially, now he's whacking 60s.
166 for 3. Gorvin in bowls down leg side, pulled away, half stopped at short fine leg. They'll come back for a second run as Gorvin firing that one down leg side would probably have been wided if Albert hadn't made contact. He moves on to 74 not out.
Yeah, this is Toby Albert's highest T20 score now. Previously it was 73 not out. He's actually playing his 50th T20 game for Hampshire tonight as well.
Down the wicket, clubs it hard, back past the bowler up towards long off, scrambling stop, and they won't risk the second run. Albert to 75, 169 for 3. Last ball of the 18th over, and Hampshire could be threatening 200 at this rate, which on a worn wicket will be formidable, you suspect. Pulled through the leg side. In fact, he's picked out as Cartwright for once, the man at deep mid wicket, just the single. But another good over for the Hawks, 15 off. It's 171 for 3. Well, 170 for 3. I must have got ahead of myself. 14 off.
Yeah, 170s around par here. Sort of 160s, sort of late 160s. So they're at a par score now. They've got 12 balls left in which to push that further ahead. The momentum has been building throughout this innings, and this has been a wonderful partnership. And Albert's highest T20 score, well supported by Hilton Cartwright with his high score in a Hampshire shirt in his 4th match, 39 from 16.
39 from Gorvin's 4 overs he's bowled out, so Leonard and Douthwaite still to come, you would have thought, with Crane not completing his allocation. He's got 0 for 31 off his 3, and Callaway 1 for 14 off his over.
So we've got Ned Leonard, are we changing ends? 3 overs, 1 for 28. Picked up the wicket of Tom Prest, and he bowled him for 15. He's now running away from us. And he's bowling to Hilton Cartwright, who's straight up in the air. Now the keeper's under it. Horton runs away towards short fine leg, drops it. Much to the delight of the crowd. Short fine leg actually had to get out of the way. Well, he was under it, and actually in the end, he wasn't quite as under it as he thought.
He's always just on the move, wasn't he, Alex Horton? Maybe had a bit of low sun to contend with, not quite sure whether that one would have come out of the sun or not.
Went a long way up, didn't it? 171 for 3 then. We're in the 19th over as Leonard, with his medium quick pace, slapped away down the ground. One bounce up towards deep mid off. Oh, it's a fumble as well, and that allows them to come back for 2. A little bit messy in the field at the moment.
Yeah, I think Will Smale feared his momentum would take him over the ropes there, so just went for the tap back inside to make sure that it wasn't a boundary. He did have about 15 metres to make, and it was hit very firmly indeed.
Albert moves on to 77 from just 51 balls. Just to repeat, this is his highest T20 score. As Hawks have another 14 balls left. Is that right? No, it's less than that. Oh, there's the ramp shot, and he's playing that so well now. 1 bounce for 4, down towards fine leg. Takes Albert into the 80s, and Hampshire on to 177 for 3.
Yes, it's extraordinary what a bit of confidence can do. I mean, Leonard is probably the quickest man in this Glamorgan attack, but to run across your stumps and be able to time that ball from still pitched outside off stump and be able to flick it over fine leg in that manner, really nice timing.
It was, yeah, he's nailing those ramp shots now. 9 balls left of the innings, 177 for 3. Leonard in again. Bowling to Albert, runs away from us and bowls. Albert slams that down the ground. There's 6 more over mid-on. High over the fielder's head. Albert's motoring. Clearly enjoying himself out there. The middle of the bat is being located on a fairly regular basis, and he's 87 now. And Hampshire move on to 183 for 3. Great shot, that one.
Yeah, 8 balls to come. Should be 200 or thereabouts, you would feel. And Glamorgan just haven't had the wickets that they need in this back half of the innings to put any sort of break on proceedings.
Joe Weatherly out in the 12th was the last wicket to fall as Leonard comes in again and bowls to Albert. Slower ball. Albert hits it up in the air. Is he going to go for 6 more? I think it is on the leg side. And that's gone. I'm not sure how far back, but all you need to know is it's gone well over the rope. And Albert now is on to 93. He can do no wrong.
Well, this is spectacular stuff, isn't it? Shorter side the ground. Square leg is, for some reason, up in the circle. And therefore there wasn't even anyone to get interested from a fielding point of view in that, on that one.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I'm not sure the leg side boundary is being patrolled maybe as tightly as it may. Deep mid-wicket and deep mid-on, that's all. But then it is a short boundary towards square, so maybe Glamorgan feeling that it's probably a waste of a fielder. 189 for 3 as Leonard is in again to Albert. Full delivery, that's a good delivery. Maybe leg buys as it goes out on the leg side. That's a really good delivery. Leg buys it is. That's the last ball of the 19th. And that's the 100 partnership between Albert and Cartwright, and that's come off 44 deliveries.
It's a character in Coronation Street, Albert Cartwright. It probably ought to have been one, even if there isn't.
20 off the over.
190 for 3 then. Last over. Glamorgan going under the pump at the moment. And as I say, with the shortish boundary on one side, the wicket so far hasn't shown any sign of playing up, but it is going to need a decent last over from Dan Douthwaite to try and keep it in any way achievable as far as Glamorgan are concerned, as they look for their 7th win rather of the campaign. They're 6 from 10 at the moment. Hampshire 5 wins and a tie from 11. Dan Douthwaite from the pavilion end in towards us. Bowls to Albert, who ramps again over third man, and this one it's gone for 4. And Hampshire have just played more of those ramps, scoops and reverses than you'd see in a month of county championship cricket, certainly, but probably a lot more than you'd see in an average game of T20 cricket.
Well, I agree. I mean, because clearly it's working for him, and because it's working for him, he's played more of them. So 97, Toby Albert, on the verge of hitting his first ever T20 game. Can he do it in one shot? As Douthwaite comes in from the pavilion end, it's down the leg side, that'll be a wide. He's gone for the slower ball again. Bounces twice through to Horton, just slightly the wrong line. He's under pressure here, Douthwaite. He's gone for 39, and he's at the start of his 4th and last over. So we await a little longer. Will Albert get his 100? It's 97 from 56. Is it coming this ball as Douthwaite comes in? Past the umpire and bowls. Albert just tucks it away on the leg side. It won't be more than 2, or is he going to risk 2? No, he's not going to risk 2. Sends Cartwright back. That's a good bit of fielding down at fine leg. You can just feel the crowd willing Albert to get there. He's running out of balls.
Yes, can he get back on strike? Well, there are 4 legitimate balls to come because we've had 1 wide, so he's got to 98. And Cartwright, well, he's going at better than 2 a ball, but there may be just a little feeling in the back of his mind that it might be advisable to get a 1 or a 3 somewhere in the next couple of deliveries.
I think you're right.
Rather than leave his mate on 98 not out.
I think it's also important for Glamorgan to try and keep this, if they can, only just over 200, as he gets an inside edge there, Cartwright, and I think this is running away for 4. So Albert won't keep the strike, but it is a boundary, and that's the 200 up for Hampshire. 200 for 3. The innings started really slowly. Who would have seen this coming? This has been an amazing partnership. And Hampshire with 3 balls left past the psychological 200 mark.
Yes, Glamorgan have been outfoxed, haven't they? Whatever line and length they have bowled, Hampshire have had the answers.
It's just amazing how the momentum goes, doesn't it, really? Douthwaite comes in again and bowls. Cartwright drives out on the leg side. I think he's going to get 2 more. In fact, he's going to get 4. That's a miss hit off the bottom of the bat, and somehow it's been squeezed down to fine leg for 4.
I couldn't play that if he tried, really. He was looking through probably mid-wicket. Got an inside or bottom edge to it, and it just about sort of dribbled past the fielder and dribbled almost apologetically away for the third boundary of the over, and not Dan Douthwaite's favourite night of T20 cricket.
It is horrible when the momentum goes to the opposition, and it really has swung quite dramatically in Hampshire's favour. Well, it looks like Cartwright is probably going to get to a half-century before Albert is going to get to his 100, and in fact, if they're with 2 balls left, Albert might not actually get back on strike as Douthwaite bowls, and he's hit it hard. Has he hit it hard enough? He's going to be caught at deep mid-on, Cartwright, and he goes. Well, he hasn't quite come out in the middle of bat, but it's been a wonderful innings with Hilton Cartwright on 48. Hampshire lose their 4th wicket with a score on 204.
Asa Tribe, the man underneath it, coming in 5-10 metres off the boundary, managed to set himself underneath the ball, wasn't coming out of the sun for once, and that though is a very, very useful innings from Hilton Cartwright. Caught Asa Tribe, bowled Dan Douthwaite, a little bit of token consolation for Douthwaite, but 48 off 20 deliveries, and now, unless there's a no ball, poor old Toby Albert is going to get
oh no, what a shame.
left on 98 not out.
Do you want to do the last ball, because he's not going to get 100. So that partnership was 114 off 8 overs.
Incredible stuff from the Hawks pair. Fuller comes out to face the last ball, 43 not out off 26 last night. Can he add one more boundary to this impressive store from the home side? Douthwaite is in, bowls to Fuller, hits this one hard, high up in the offside, and it's dropped, and it's gone over the boundary as well. Ned Leonard, I think, got to it, but then almost ran past it. And, well, that, I'm afraid, sums up some of Glamorgan's fortunes in the second half of that innings, certainly. And that, it was a difficult catch, all right, but it's one that you'd expect to be taken, and Leonard ran past it. And then watch the agony increase as it dribbled over the boundary as well. Might have got a fingertip to it, but not much more than that. So 208 for 4. And Albert is left on 98 not out of 57 deliveries. What an innings, Kevin.
It certainly was, yeah. I mean, it deserved 100. It's a shame he couldn't quite get the strike enough in the last over, but 98, wow, that is a lot of runs to get. And it's been a wonderful knock. Interesting, the contrast you said about the second half there, Nick. The first 10 overs, Hampshire was 75 for 2. Off the next 10 overs, they scored 133 for 2. So real innings of 2 halves. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will bring you live commentary of the Hampshire, of the Glamorgan reply. And Glamorgan, well, they're going to need to bat well, that is for sure, because that is a decent total, 208 for 4.
players and officials will be back with us very shortly as Glamorgan look to chase down 209 for victory. We'd like to extend our thanks to this evening's Vitality Blast matchday sponsor, Trafalgar's, a UK top 200 law firm with a diverse client base. Trafalgar's works with brands, owner-managed businesses, banks, insurers and employers, as well as supporting individuals and their families both nationally and internationally. Head to trafalgars.com for more information. As we stand by for the officials and players to return, you'll be able to see some of our youngsters who took part in our skills challenge, currently lining their way around the fielding circle. That is the top team from South Winchester Cricket Club, who were the runners-up in our skills challenge a little bit earlier on. They will be getting those caps they are holding signed by the Hampshire Hawks fielders when they run out to field in just a moment. It's time to welcome back our on-field umpires, Mark Newell and James Treadwell. And Utilita Bowl, please welcome Captain James Vince and the Hampshire Hawks.
Played in the for just 13, finished up one for 21, and all the rest really took some stick at one stage or another.
That's for sure. So 1 for 21 from 4, a wicket for Ned Leonard, Dan Douthwaite and also Ben Kellaway, who in his 1 over still manages to treat us to a couple of right arm off spins and a couple of slow left armers as well. The children make their way off the pitch at the top end. The Hampshire fielders are in the middle. The two Glamorgan openers are here, and it's 4th against 3rd. If Hampshire win, they will leapfrog Glamorgan into 3rd, and if Glamorgan win, well, they will consolidate their 3rd place.
Yes, I mean, 2 more victories will probably do Glamorgan for a place in the top 4 and therefore in the quarterfinals. But they've still got to get them. Surrey tomorrow night is always difficult. They've won at Somerset, so they can win in Surrey. I've seen them win in Surrey, but they've also had a few hammerings then as well. And 2 home games to conclude against Gloucestershire and Middlesex, both of which are eminently winnable on looking at the table, but the pressure of knowing that you have to win them does funny things.
So Kevin James and Nick Webb with you. Melissa Story will be with you shortly as Chris Wood gets us underway. Bowling to Kieran Carlson. This guy's a dangerous player, as that's tucked away to deep square leg first delivery. Strikes at 142 per 100 career-wise. That's a decent strike rate.
Yes, you'll see Carlson and Smale going hell for leather at the top of the order. You will see Smale probably play some big heaves looking towards that shorter leg side boundary in particular. 2 back on the leg side, square leg and fine leg.
Yeah, trying to protect that short boundary side. Chris Wood playing his 200th T20 game for Hampshire tonight, back in the side after resting last night against Middlesex. Well, he's targeting the boundary straight away. You're right, Nick, and that's 1 bounce for 4 through mid-wicket.
Yeah, he's got the proverbial long levers, Will Smale, in contrast to his batting partner Kieran Carlson, who is less tall, and Smale, given this job at the top of the order, really to play only one way.
Playing his 25th T20 tonight. As Wood comes in, left arm over and bowls. Smale just works set to back with a point, no run. Score remains on 5 without loss. Something's fallen over to away to her left. Oh, it's all right, it's okay.
It hasn't fallen onto anyone down below, which is the key factor.
Yes.
When you're up on the balcony on the 3rd floor as we are.
Plenty of metal objects around here, you don't want them falling out, but no, we're okay. Fortunately, as Wood runs away from us and bowls to Smale once more. Smale works it away on the onside. It'll go out to Joe Weatherly at deep square leg, and Smale moves on to 5, and Glamorgan On to 6th, so the sun is very low in the west. Away to our right. Feature of this ground.
Yes, you wouldn't want a skied catch at cover at the moment, would you?
No.
You might as well shut your eyes and
right.
stick your hands up to protect yourself.
That's right. If it doesn't come out of the sun, it'll come out the floodlight, so yeah, not ideal. As Wood comes in and bowls, Carlson drives that out into the covers. There's no run. One ball left of Chris Wood's first over.
Yeah, not a bad start from Woods, with the Glamorgan batters not really able to free their arms, apart from on that one boundary for Smale.
Chris Wood passed a fitness test literally just before the toss of the coin. He's got 1 or 2 niggles. He's been struggling a little bit over the years with various injuries, but passed fit as Carlson has a little slog at that one. Ball rolls out harmlessly to Weatherly at deep square leg, and we've had the first over here, and Glamorgan are 7 without loss.
Yeah, advantage Hampshire on the first over, with Glamorgan needing to score at just under 10.5 runs an over to win and to maintain 3rd place in the table, with 3 games to go for Glamorgan after this. Just the 2 for Hampshire. Sussex at home and Essex away. Glamorgan facing Surrey away tomorrow, Gloucestershire home on Sunday, and then Middlesex home a week tomorrow.
What was the feeling coming here, Nick, about, obviously they have 1 more extra game to play than Hampshire. What was the feeling about the number of wins to the number of games left?
It was probably 2 from 4 would just about get you through. 8 from 14 usually does the trick. As that is edged down towards third man. Good tumbling stop down in front of us by Joe Weatherly. Keeps Kieran Carlson down to a single. This is in Sonny Baker from the pavilion end. Yeah, 8 out of 14 is usually all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which means that Hampshire with the tie as well. Well, I suppose you could mathematically get through with 7 wins and a tie from your 14, but you're pushing it a little bit there.
Yeah.
As Baker charges in, bowls, and that's cut down to short third man by Smale, but can't pierce the field. Dot ball, and it's remarkable how quickly the pressure could mount, facing a target of 10.5 to win this game. Runs per over. And Glamorgan need a good power play and not really to lose more than 1 wicket. As Baker with a little hop and a skip at the start of his run, and a straight charge in, bowls down leg side, but it has hit Smale somewhere and trickled down towards short fine leg, fielded by the keeper as they go through for a single. Had he missed it, probably been a wide, but looking to pull away through backward square.
Nice to see quite a lot of yellow shirts in the crowd, dotted around. A few youngsters here as well in yellow shirts, yellow bucket hats.
Yes, we've had 1 or 2 colour clashes between these 2 sides over the years, but it's a lot more defined tonight, with Glamorgan in a mélange of light blue and dark blue shirts, as that is a looping bouncer and called wide from Sonny Baker.
Yeah, I looked at it as well. Melissa's in a yellow hairy hat that used to be all the fashion a couple of years ago, so she's doing her bit.
Yes, that's going to do much to keep the head cool, is it? Extra hair on top of your hair, and she's already got enough hair to start with, unlike some of us. As Baker is back at it. Bowls to Carlson, a bounce, that's a better one, as Carlson tried to get underneath it and flick it away over fine leg, but it was through him and through to keeper Albert.
It's an interesting shot, wasn't it? Or attempted shot.
Yes, it was a bit too close to him, didn't it? Rather to get the angle on that one. Busy night then for Albert then, having batted through the Hampshire innings, now has to keep his concentration going behind the stumps. Baker in bowls, and that'll be a dot ball as well. as Carlson plays it down to backward point. And a really tidy over there by Sonny Baker with a single off the bat and a couple of sundries, and Glamorgan are stuck on 10 for naught after 2 overs.
Sonny Baker, who's so far this year has taken just the 3 wickets, only came into the side fairly recently. He played his first match of the season against Sussex 3 games ago, so this is his 4th in a row. So who have we got? Is Chris Wood going to continue, or have we got to change? Ball's rolling up towards the far end, so what's going on there? That's just where Sonny Baker's been bowling. Is he coming back? We're swapping back. Did he not bowl his over? He didn't bowl his over.
Oh, they've miscounted, have they?
Yeah, they have.
They've forgotten about the wide on the original.
They've all run into fielding position for the next over, and they've all run back again.
Extraordinary. Don't see that very often at first-class level, do you? Or professional level.
The old scorers have been on the walkie-talkie there saying, get back, get back.
In comes Baker then to bowl the bonus ball that is hit over cover. Might just plug, or will it run away? It is tapped back just inside the ropes, and that's a tremendous relay effort by the 2 Hampshire fielders to keep them down to a couple of runs. 12 without loss. Carlson and Smale both have 5, but 209 is the target for Glamorgan, so they haven't quite got going as yet.
Hilton Cartwright in the thick of things in the field again. He really is a terrific fielder in the ring at slip, and wonderful innings as well today. 48 off just 20 deliveries, helping that 4th wicket partnership of 114 with Toby Albert, really taking Hampshire to what looks to be like a more than competitive total. No doubt, make no mistake here, Glamorgan are going to have to play well if they're going to win this one. As Wood comes in, start of a new over, bowls to Smale. Smale just works that away comfortably enough on the leg side. Joe Weatherly in off the boundary. And Glamorgan move on to 13 without loss. Well, it's going to need a healthy smattering of some big shots, some very good calculated risks if Glamorgan are to get over the 208 they need. But they've done it. I'll just have a look how many times Glamorgan have got into. They got 220 against Essex at Chelmsford. As it's played away on the leg side, bounces a couple of times out on the boundary. Going to take 2. Scott Curry out there.
Well, that's one way of stopping getting yourself run out. Kieran Carlson getting in the way of the return, which of course he's perfectly entitled to as long as he doesn't change his line of running.
So they have got 220 already this season, so they're more than capable. The very dangerous Colin Ingram, who we've known about for many years. He's in the lineup, so nothing's over until he's out. That's in the air. Is it going to Vince? It is. He takes it at mid-off, and that's the first wicket. Kieran Carlson goes for 7, and Glamorgan are 15 for 1 in the 3rd over.
Well, that's one of Glamorgan's danger men out. Kieran Carlson, who notched up Glamorgan's highest ever T20 score last year, 135 against Somerset. He's got a 93 this season, but that's the only time he's reached 50. And he is back in the pavilion for 7 off 9 deliveries, 15 for 1 in the 3rd. And Chris Wood has made a really decent start here for Hampshire back in the side.
Yeah, one of the dangerous men, as you say, is walking back to the pavilion. Chris Wood's 203rd T20 wicket. He sits 4th on the all-time list. I don't think anybody's going to reach Danny Briggs. He's into the 260s. Mind you, I saw Danny Briggs has moved back to Sussex recently from Warwickshire. Not sure if he's playing T20. He didn't play the other night against us. But I think 260 odd wickets is going to take a lot of overhauling. Got 203 now for Chris Wood.
Alex Horton may not be a familiar name to Hampshire listeners. 21 years old, Gwent product from Newbridge Club originally. Just come into the side a couple of matches ago to replace Chris Cook on the back of some good form at the top of the order in T20 second 11.
Wood runs away from us, over the wicket, bowls, wrapped on the pad, they'll get a leg by. As it trickles out towards square leg, 16 for 1 then Glamorgan, umpire just signals the leg bys now. So crowd-wise, I think it is around the 5.5 mark. That's what pre-match sales were. I'm not sure it was much more or is much more than that. We've had a couple of games of around 8 and 8.5. And it certainly doesn't feel quite like that. But the majority of the crowd are to our right on the west side of the ground. Here's Wood, comes in and bowls, and that's slapped away by Smale. Out towards wide mid-on, it's going for 4.
Yes, not much acknowledgement from the crowd, the Glamorgan supporters. There's a few here, but not large numbers, and they need to clap a bit more loudly, I think, as that was muscled away by Smale with a big swing of the arms.
Takes Glamorgan on to 20 for 1 with 1 ball left of the 3rd over as Chris Wood runs in again and runs past the umpire and bowls to Smale on the back foot, works that up to mid-on, Dawson fields, and that's a dot ball. Wood's bowled 2 overs, 1 for 14. Glamorgan 20 for 1, need another 189 from here.
Yeah, I mean, Hampshire didn't start that quickly. 42 for 2 in the power play. It was slight advantage to Glamorgan at that stage. So 20 for 1 after 3. They're by no means out of it, but of course Hampshire accelerated so much in the closing stages. They had some really big overs in the back end of their innings, thanks to Toby Albert's 98 not out and Hilton Cartwright with 48 off 20 balls. So Alex Horton, just his 8th T20 match. He's been in the Glamorgan squad since the age of 16. They really had high hopes for him. Haven't quite made the breakthrough yet, as he steps back and swats at a short delivery, and it is a legitimate one from Sonny Baker.
Yeah, good bouncer, that one. Yeah, we're just watching on the big screen. It's 20 years since Oasis appeared here, which is quite topical considering Oasis on this tour at the moment. And tonight they've got a tribute band, Oasis. Just advertising that on the screen there. Oasis.
20 for 1. Bucket hats all round. As Baker is on his way. Bowls to Horton again, who hits over covers, got that one away. That one should run away. 1, 2, 3 bounces and over the ropes at cover. A nice swing of the bat to get him off the mark. Made his debut technically at Bristol 3 years ago. I say technically because the teams had been declared, the toss had taken place, and just as the players were coming out on the field, it absolutely hammered down with rain, so he got an appearance without actually taking the field in anger, as did Henry Hurl last season in the T20. Didn't bat, and it rained before he got on the field. Oh, is that caught behind? Yes, it is! Horton going across his stumps, trying to flick it away over fine leg, but didn't quite get much on it, and through it went to Toby Albert. Sonny Baker strikes, and Glamorgan are 24 for 2 in the 4th over. It was a legitimate shot to play. He didn't quite execute it though, and Horton's gone for 4 off 4. Baker has his 4th wicket of the campaign.
Yeah, well, Glamorgan have got to be inventive here. They can't afford to hang around for too long. They need to score a 10 over here, so don't really want to be getting going too slow initially.
Yeah, this is another youngster, Ben Kellaway, who's made real progress this season with both bat and ball. Some might say he was the best 21-year-old off-spinner in Glamorgan's ranks for the first 3 matches of the season, when Shoaib Bashir was on a brief and unsuccessful loan to Glamorgan. And he got 2 wickets in the first 3 games to Kellaway's 4, and Kellaway since then has been doing really well with the bat in the championship, but this a lot on him really, averaging 20, batting at 3 and 4 in T20 as well. Slip in place now. There's James Vince looks to turn on the pressure even further. Baker bowls and Callaway drives, doesn't time it. It trickles up to mid-on. It's a dot ball.
So how did that lone spell with Bashir go overall?
2 for 300 or thereabouts. But it was enough to keep his England place somehow. Vibes. 24 for 2. It was when Mason Crane was injured, so it was all his fault for getting crocked in March. There's Baker with a peculiar little hop and skip at the start, and in he comes and bowls, and that's nicely driven by Callaway. That's a good cricket shot through the covers. Found the gap, ball racing away once it had got through the infield. Second boundary of the over, 28 for 2. But a lot of scoreboard pressure on Glamorgan, chasing 209 to win, and almost get a toe in the quarterfinals if they can pull off this run chase. But it's looking the Hampshire are reasonably strong favourites as things stand, but things can change as Callaway flicks it away on the leg side and goes through for a single. 29 for 2, so 9 off the over, but at the cost of Alex Horton's wicket. Wicket apiece for Wood and Baker in these early stages, and Morgan not quite on the back foot, but certainly haven't got the start that they wanted.
So both wickets have gone down to catches. Alex Horton, who's just gone, caught Albert Bowl, Sonny Baker for 4. The catch taken by James Vince off the bowling of Chris Wood to get rid of Kieran Carlson. Melissa's dad message, 250th catch in all T20 cricket for James Vince. So we're getting a double helping tonight of the Melissa family. We're getting Melissa's commentary, dad's stats. We're getting full value for money this evening from the Story family.
Morning glory.
So 4 overs gone, 29 for 2, and it is going to be James Fuller who's coming on from the hotel end, bowling to Ben Callaway. Short. Ben Callaway pulls that away. Nobody at deep mid wicket, and that's balls just bouncing away harmlessly for 4 runs. Nobody really ran after that. They knew there was a big gap there. They knew it was going for 4, so nobody really made too much of an effort. Didn't need to really. Struck well enough by the 21-year-old. Takes Glamorgan on to 33 for 2. Remember that target is 209. Nice position to come here, isn't it, Glamorgan? Only really needing 2 wins out of the last 4. You'd settle for that every year, wouldn't you? As Fuller comes in and bowls to Callaway once more. Better length. Callaway pushes forward. Goes out a little square on the offside than he was aiming.
Yes, I mean, it's been a difficult few years for Glamorgan in T20. Finished bottom 1 year. They've been creeping up gradually, but it was behind the decision to take Matthew Maynard off white ball coaching, and then split coaching only lasted a year, and they've been fiddling around with T20 coaches in the last few years.
Here's Fuller, runs away from us again, comes down the wicket. Callaway drives through the covers, lovely shot, 4 runs. Timed beautifully.
Yes, he's a strong hitter, Ben Callaway. Likes to hit straight, lofted straight drives as well, but so far a couple of very nicely executed cover drives.
Sun not quite yet disappeared over the horizon. It's getting close. Very low now, way to our right. It's 37 for 2. Oh, Glamorgan, they need 172 here. They're scoring at just over 8s, and from here they need just over 11s. As Fuller comes in and bowls in the air. This will be catch number 251, James Vince. Simple one for him, and Callaway goes for 13. And Glamorgan have lost their 3rd wicket with a score on 37.
Yes, it's a couple of boundaries and out, isn't it? The pattern of this innings. Said Callaway likes to hit straight and aerial down the ground. Well, certainly didn't get that, and he stares down angrily at the toe end of his bat, giving you some indication of what went wrong. As Colin Ingram will come in at 5 for Glamorgan, with 3 wickets down in the power play. When you couldn't want for anyone more experienced than Colin Ingram at the age of 40. Plenty of years of globe trotting as a T20 gun for hire. Now switched back and looking like a really good red ball player again after a few years of not playing much, if any, championship cricket. But they need him to be at his best. 1/2 century so far in where are we? 10 matches that he's played.
Oh, he's a serious player, this guy. The game's not over until this guy's back in the pavilion, that's to be sure. I'm just wondering, you know, if I was in the fielding side right now, I'd look at him and say, 40 years old, good player, Colin. What we'll do is we'll make you run for every run that you score and see how your fitness is.
Yeah, want to get most of them in boundaries.
I was going to say, he doesn't really deal in too many runs, does he? Here's Fuller to the left-hander Ingram. Plays that late, he's off the mark straight away. Nice open to face of the bat. And he's on to 138 for 2. Oh, Glamorgan with 1 ball left. Was it
38 for 3.
Or 38 for 3, sorry, yes.
Wish it was 38 for 2 from the Welsh point of view.
1 ball left of the 5th. Gone for 9, James Fuller, and picked up Ben Kellaway. So 171 from here. Morgan, as Fuller comes in and bowls, and it's got wrapped on the top of the pad there as Smale, and that's a dot ball to finish off that over. Good over there from Fuller. 38 for 3, 5 gone.
Yeah, almost forgotten about Smale being at the crease. He hasn't faced much in the last couple of overs. 10 off 9 so far for Will Smale, the 24-year-old. Nice to see some younger players in this Glamorgan side, because for several years it has been quite a mature side, as it were, and all of a sudden they've got 3 21-year-olds in the top 6 in Horton, Kellaway and Tribe.
All good players as well, aren't they? That bodes well, doesn't it?
All Glamorgan need now is to produce a few more young bowlers to go with them.
Yeah, but that's a start, isn't it? If you've got 3 guys occupying some very important places and doing well, that's a good start, isn't it?
Here comes Curry. Slower ball outside the off stump and driven by Ingram straight to cover, and there is no run. Scott Curry, 19 wickets at 16. Impressive stats.
He's 4th on the list, most wicket takers so far this season. 4 wickets last night.
And economy rate of just over 8, and that would be enough to win Hampshire the game. As Curry bowls and Ingram drives, but straight to mid-on, who's up in the circle. It's a dot ball. The crowd starting to get into these dot balls, and Glamorgan struggling to make the most of their power play. Hampshire did as well, really. They were 42 for 2, which wasn't great after the first 6. And just wonder whether James Vince will stick all his fielders out. He probably will, all the permitted ones, as Ingram gets tucked up a little bit and plays that one to cover. The 3rd dot ball. Colin Ingram is a man who will back himself. He'll be not overly worried about facing a couple of dot balls early on. Back himself to get the boundaries once his eye is in.
These boundaries aren't big enough for him.
That leg side is fairly short if he middles it, as he steps back and cuts hard down towards backward point, but picks up the 1 boundary fielder on the offside, so it is just a single. 39 for 3, 2 balls left of the power play. Smale looks to the heavens, and I need a calming word or two from Colin Ingram. Morgan players have paid tribute to Ingram's influence on his teammates in how to tackle difficult situations like this. As Curry bowls and Smale runs across his stumps and tries to ramp over short fine leg and makes no contact.
Yeah, good slow ball, 2 bounces through to Toby. Albert gave that one away, but of course by the time the batter sees it, it's a little too late for him. But yeah, one thing Scott Curry is very good at, why he's taken so many wickets already, is that he has very good changes of pace, and they're not very easy to see.
Here's Curry then, just one off his first 5 deliveries into bowl to Smale, who swings it away on the leg side. He's got underneath it. 3 fielders dashing after it, but it comes to earth on the edge of the circle before any of them can get to it. But Glamorgan are 40 for 3 after the power play stage, where Hampshire were 42 for 2.
Close from that point of view, that's for sure. So this game's far from over, even though Glamorgan have lost 3 wickets in their power play. Not ideal. Carlson for 7, Hodson for 4, and Kellaway for 13. So that last ball there was a quicker ball from Scott Curry, which I'm sure, and I know, that Melissa Story would have spotted straight away if you were batting.
100% I would have. Sorry, I was struggling to get my microphone over my very attractive Hampshire themed headgear.
That is a lovely hairy hat you're wearing.
I've always looked to the crowd and thought, I want to get my hands on one of those, and thanks to Joe,
Yeah,
I have got my hands on them.
And you're still wearing it when you're commentating, which is very partisan of you. Well, that's the wrong word, isn't it? Here's Dawson then, around the wicket, start of a new over. That's hammered away down to mid-on by Smale. 41 for 3. It's not partisan, what is it? It's one-sided of you.
Wow.
That's not even the right phrase either, really.
I know the sun's been pointing into the commentary box for a few hours now, but we can't have lost it already. We're only in the 7th over.
I lost it about April, I think, on about my 50th commentary by the end of April.
That's a new record for you. Normally it's end of May.
It is, I know. See, I'm getting better. I did chat with somebody yesterday at Merchant Taylor's. I'll tell you who it was. David Fulton, former Kent man. That's hit away hard on the leg side by Ingram. Fielded, always slipped around a little bit, but recovered nicely. That's Tom Prest out there. And that is 2 runs to Ingram. Speaking to Dave Fulton, he said, can you just tell me about the last 4 games that Hampshire played in the T20? And I'll be honest with you, I couldn't help him at all. I said, well, my mind's gone blank. When they batted second against Somerset, I went, no, hang on, it's first. England drives and plays and misses outside the off-stump. Oh, it's a wide. Dawson doesn't like it. That was a marginal decision. Dawson's questioning it.
Unfortunately, it's not the IPL, and you can't review the wides, otherwise I'm sure Liam Dawson there would have been sending that one upstairs. He's still not happy about it, shaking his head.
It's not. 44 for 3. So I couldn't be any help for him at all on the commentary. That's pulled away. Ingram, 6 runs. Told you these boundaries aren't big enough for him. That's effortlessly hit away on the leg side.
Well, he's the danger man, really, and Hampshire will be wanting to get his wicket. Yes, they've already taken 3, and if you look at that run rate, which is required by Glamorgan, close to 12s now, they're still well behind where they have to be, but the class of Colin Ingram, we saw the way Hampshire accelerated as well. It is possible on this pitch.
It certainly is. It's a fuller delivery. Ingram just works that Yorker to backward a point.
I know what you mean, though, about the kind of fixtures, because they come thick and fast in the T20 Blast, and there's been players who have pointed out that the schedule's absolutely relentless for them as well.
Relentless for everybody, as you were saying in the first innings, even for Tier 2 women's sides, as Ingram works that up towards deep mid-on. Benny Howell will field 51 for 3.
But all the games blend into one. It's a bit like when you're watching kind of on a streaming service a show, and after a few hours it asks you, are you still watching? And you're like, yes, unfortunately I am. But you just can't tell how many episodes you've watched or how long you've been sat on the sofa.
So is cricket now like binge watching? As that's worked away on the onside by Smale, and Hilton Cartwright there looks as though he was losing his footing. Sorry, Scott Curry looks like he was losing his footing, but managed to keep it. 52 for 3, 7 gone.
Well, I mean, now you can, because you can tune into the test match, the men's test at Lord's this week, and then go straight into a T20 Blast fixture. But I remember at one stage, back when I was a student and I had a lot more spare time, I think combined with a league in Dubai and then the SA20, and then potentially I think the Big Bash was still going on in Australia at the time, and you could watch cricket from 8 AM to 8 PM, and you could just binge watch it. So
did you do that as a student?
Fully.
Really?
I find it impossible to really do work unless I've got some kind of noise in the background, whether it's the cricket or a kind of podcast or music. So this time of the year is perfect for people like me, because you've got non-stop commentary to kind of keep you company throughout the day. I promise I am doing work at the same time, just to confirmed to my employer, as Howell into the attack from the pavilion end. This one swept out towards deep square for a single. The score 53 for 3. That required run rate now above 12 for Glamorgan.
Yeah, they do reckon here, and I know Vince has spoken about it in the past, if he can get it up to around 14, it is difficult.
Just the casual 14.
Just the 14 and over.
As Howell coming around the wicket to the left-handed Ingram. Bowls a full delivery, driven back to him respectfully. And that dot ball being applauded by the Hampshire crowd here this evening. The sun just beginning to set to our right means that it's beginning to cool down now, finally. My laptop hopefully will turn back on at some stage. As Howell full, squeezed out towards deep cover, wristily by Ingram. Will just be the single though, 54 for 3.
I'm glad that's not the only one that suffers in the heat, because mine did last week.
All these advances in technology, and yet when you point a giant burning star at a thing made entirely of metal, it stops working. Who could have seen that one coming? Howell with a Yorker, absolutely destroys the stumps at the non-striker's end. The bails flying into the air, and Morgan will be frustrated there that couldn't have just gone a few inches either side. Just the single in the end. Smale moves to 15 off 15 balls. Ingram 12 off 11. Perfect scenario really for Benny Howell to come in, bowl his variations, take pace off the ball and get this required rate going up and up for Hampshire. He's got long on, long off, deep square, deep mid-wicket and a deep cover. Around the wicket, gets underneath this one, does Ingram, and down the ground for 4 runs. Long off was wide, and Howell just pulling his length back allows a player like Ingram to get underneath it and therefore get that control he needs to get it down the ground.
That's the thing with Ingram, he's no respecter of run rates. I mean, he laughs in the face of run rates.
Howell into Ingram, this time delicately dabbing the ball to short third. Fielder electing not to throw, so just a single to finish that over. Glamorgan 60 for 3 after 8. And they require a further 100. You know what? I don't know why I started with this, because the scoreboard's right to our side, but I can't even tell what that says. Which, coming to this ground, is always my annual reminder to go get my eyes checked. 148 was it? I'm going to guess.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Oh, stop, never mind.
Yeah,
cancel the appointment. Save it for a few more months.
It's when you do all those 100 games.
By the time, so when we commentate on the 100 here, we're a few floors down in the kind of room with the slanted windows. You can't see a thing. The ball will get hit, and I will have to look around and see what fielder has moved. And if none of them has moved, just say it was a 4 or 6. Because at certain times of the day, the glare is so horrible. I know we shouldn't complain because we have such a great job, but as commentators, we love to complain.
Liam Dawson has gone for the leg stump Yorker, slightly over pitch to Ingram, who works it away towards deep square leg. That's fielded by Sonny Baker there. No, it's Hilton Cartwright. And 61 for 3 are Glamorgan at the start of the 9th.
I mean, in terms of this Hampshire lineup, and I know there's been a few overseas players coming in and out of the squad, which I guess teams have almost grown used to now in this kind of modern age of T20, but from your point of view and their prospects and heading towards the knockout stages qualification, are you feeling quite optimistic?
Do you know what, when Pretorius and Brevis were here, I have to say, the first 2 or 3 games, and Brevis was here before Pretorius got, I thought, we're going to storm this. As Dawson bowls wrapped on the pad, he's bowled him, he's flicked off his toes, and it's ricocheted into the stumps, and Smale goes. And they're 61 for 4 now, Glamorgan. They're in deep trouble. Smale goes for 15.
Good from Dawson, getting it up there, knowing that Glamorgan had to get the foot on the gas here, find some boundaries. He thrives in these situations with Benny Howell at one end, Liam Dawson at the other. Pace taken off, and Glamorgan players just having to generate their own power. 4 down now, and even more pressure on Ingram. So out comes Asa Tribe.
This guy's a good player as well.
He's got a big job at hand, but I mean, if James Vince, someone who's played so much here, says that 14 and over is when it goes to the point where Hampshire are comfortable, and they're almost there, the home side.
Yeah, he was telling me after the game against Somerset here, which went down to the penultimate bowl, said we couldn't quite get them up to 14 and over. He said if they had, they would have felt a lot more confident. Didn't quite reach that, and that's why Somerset sneaked over the line right at the death. Yes, Asa Tribe, Jersey player, recently played for Jersey actually in the Netherlands earlier on this month.
You ever been to Jersey?
Yes, have you?
I think so.
It's lovely, lovely beaches.
I think I might have been quite young if I did.
Right. Family trip?
Probably. Very exotic.
Yeah, I mean, it's lots of fish to eat around there from what I remember, which is surprising in Ireland. But it is a nice spot, yeah, it is. Small roads, though, as that's turned away on the onside by Tribe.
But there are lots of reports of a tourist driving around the island at 60 miles per hour, causing mayhem for locals.
If you're lucky. You know, when you drive down in Cornwall and there's lots of those little roads and it gets annoying. Well, Jersey's a little bit like that in place. Guernsey's worse than that. But yeah, it's a nice spot. Well worth another visit. 62 for 4, 147 needed as Ingram hits that into the ground, trying to smack that away through the offside as we start to lose the light here. The sun is just about shining over the top of the horizon. Away to our right.
See, I was ready for this. I've got a cardigan and a jumper, just in case. My friends were saying you don't need layers, it's a boiling day. When the sun goes down, it can change very quickly.
It does. There's a voice of experience, and Ingram hits that down the ground, and it could be caught deep mid-off. Benny Howell is under it, and he takes it just in front of the rope. And Ingram has gone. The very dangerous Colin Ingram has gone for 18. And it's that man, Liam Dawson, has done it once more.
I think from Benny Howell's reaction there, he just lost the ball for a moment. It went really high up in the air. Almost a pinkish tinge in the sky now. Not sure what it was that distracted him. Maybe the floodlights, but he held his hand to his heart after taking that catch with a lot of relief. And I think with Glamorgan 5 down now, Hampshire would be feeling comfortable with that total of 208 to defend. That wicket of Ingram probably the end of the road for Glamorgan in this fixture. I don't want to call it too early, but it's disappointing. And to be fair, from a Glamorgan point of view now, it's about how close can they get to this Hampshire target, because of course it's so congested at the top of the table in the Blast. Glamorgan 3 before this fixture in the South Group table. They'll know that net run rate is so important when there's almost that scramble for third and fourth place. And Somerset and Surrey both sat first and second, feel a little bit, well, Surrey not so much, but Somerset have 36 points. They're not being caught up, so it's really a case of what teams slot in at that third, fourth spot.
Dan Douthwaite, who can also hit a mean ball himself as Dawson comes in. Douthwaite is forward. And it's gone back to Dawson. What an over that was. 2 wickets, 2 runs in it. Thank you very much. 2 for 14 from 2, Liam Dawson. And Glamorgan in trouble at 62 for 5.
Well, there's already a few Hampshire fans making their way towards the gates.
Perhaps they didn't bring their jumper with them. We put them off.
Exactly.
Or they rush into the car.
Or all the yellow fuzzy hats are gone and they went, what's the point of being here if not to get a bright yellow fuzzy hat? I might drive home wearing this as well to cause confusion to other road users.
Are you not worried that if somebody's driving in the opposite direction, they see you with a yellow hairy hat on?
They might crash. Is that what you did when you were in Jersey? The roads are even more dangerous when there's people wearing unusual headwear. So Benny Howell, 8 runs off his first over. Will be bowling to Asa Tribe. Just the 1 run so far. Serves up a full toss, which he flicks down towards long on, just for a single. Score 63 for 5.
The run rate's getting dangerously near 14 now from here on in. How Glamorgan going to dig themselves out of this? It's a shame actually Ingram's out for the sake of a spectacle. I think that's
Well, there's someone who has been at the hands of some very good Glamorgan women's performances this year. Well, I'm fine with this. Howe in, driving past extra cover to their right. Long off comes around to collect. And single to the total, 64 for 5. They've had the better of us, I think, now 4 occasions.
Wow.
Maybe 3, actually. So this weekend, it's a big one. Gloucestershire, Glamorgan. Howell. Into Tribe, dabs it into the onside, runs the first one hard, but fielding off his own bowling is Howell. Uses one of those bright yellow coloured boots to kick the ball back to himself. Just the 3 off this over so far. And exactly what Hampshire need to do, just dry up these boundaries. It's the only way Glamorgan are going to get close to this total.
Was it in Cardiff, that game?
It is, the Fire Gardens. So any Glamorgan fans listening, if you've got a free Sunday, get yourself down there. 11 AM start for the women's game. Howell bowls to Dathwaite. Can only push the ball back to the bowler, and suddenly it's that pressure creeping up.
You know, they have been known down there to give opposition fielders on the boundary some stick. You do know that. That has a reputation down there.
I would love that. I am a quarter Welsh, so don't be too mean to me.
Oh.
But be 3/4 mean to me. This time outside the off stump. Cut down on the bounce to Liam Dawson at extra cover. Probably a bit of extra bounce he was expecting there, maybe from one of those used ends of other pitches. Almost wiped his head off there. Final ball of this over as we get to the halfway stage. Howell turns over the wicket, giving himself room, slapping the ball as Dathwaite towards deep cover. Weatherly fields. And a brilliant over from Howell comes to an end. Just 4 runs off it. Glamorgan 66 for 5 at the halfway stage.
Hampshire were 75 for 2 at this stage, but that Cartwright partnership with Albert was yet to get going. So, yeah, they really have a lot of work to do here, Glamorgan, for this second half of their innings.
How are Hampshire women doing in the Women's Vitality Blast?
Mixed. Lost yesterday to Lancashire.
I was listening to that one.
Was you?
Yeah. Phil Green, Gemma Green, bit of Adam.
Yes, yeah. Adam Blackmore, my boss, was there. Now it's hit away, extra cover. Good diving stop there, James Vince, who gets up quickly but can't prevent a single. Dathwaite moves on to 3. Yeah, to the lovely Falkland Cricket Club near Newbury. Wonderful club that is. If you live up that way, you'd certainly be joining that one. Yes, unfortunately, from a Hampshire point of view, Lancashire winning that, and probably, I haven't looked at the table for sure, but I think they're struggling to struggle for finals day. That's outside off stump, and Dathwaite gave himself, Tribe gave himself too much room, not a wide.
If you were a fielder there watching a Glamorgan batter leave the ball in the 11th over, you would be noisy. You'd be reminding them.
Tribe's on 3, Dawson bowls. Tribe hits that down the ground, not timed, down towards Benny Howell at deep mid-on, 68 for 5. Gloucester's going to make Tier 2 finals day?
Not this year, unfortunately. We've won one of our games in the Metro Bank 50 over Cup and one of our games in the T20 Blast, so it's been a learning year so far.
Right. Come back next year stronger.
Exactly.
One of those years. That's a hit up to deep mid off by Dathwaite, where Tom Prest fields 69 for 5.
But Glamorgan are doing really, really well. They have an incredibly strong side this year, and of course they'll be ascending into Tier 1 in 2 years' time, whether there'll be a professional setup from that stage forwards, and there's a lot of talent in that Glamorgan side, so certainly a team to get behind.
Dawson bowls, that's hit, clubbed out towards deep extra cover. That could run all the way, and it does. Nice time there from Asa Tribe, moves on to 8, 73 for 5. Well, that's good news. All those poor results you've had against Glamorgan in 2 years' time, you don't have to worry about that.
Exactly, and you know, you go, well, we're losing to a side who have some really good players, they're going to be professionals. It's like Yorkshire, they're the only professional side in Tier 2 because they're being privately funded. So anyone who loses to them, you're like, well, we lost to professionals, but if you beat them, you'll remind them.
Oh, yeah. That's the one to win. That's played out on the onside by Tribe. Is that oblique by? No, it's an inside edge onto the bat. End of the over. Dawson's bowled 3 overs, 2 for 22. Glamorgan is 74 for 5. From here, they need another 135.
I was reminded by that brilliant bit of fielding from James Vince in that over extra cover. Of course, we mentioned in the first innings he took his 251st catch in T20 cricket. He's 11th most, I think, in the world for catches in T20 cricket. Who do you think's number 1?
Catches?
In all of T20 cricket. Played for the West Indies.
Chris Gale.
No, not quite. Still playing
right.
T20 cricket.
Shy Hope? No. I don't know.
He's played for the Southern Brave, I think, last few years. Right. Benny Howe in, back of a length, cut away, out to Weatherly, deep cover, moves the score to 74 for 5. Apologies, 75 for 5, I think. Yep.
Are these your stats or are these your dad's?
Of course they're my dad's. When do you think I have time to do my own stats?
West Indies plays. Oh god, I should know. Southern Brave, shouldn't I?
Hit 5 sixes.
Oh, I know. I do know.
Last year, as this one goes high in the air, Fielder positioning himself underneath it, takes the catch, and Douthwaite will go. Glamorgan 6 down. James Fuller, safe hands there at long off. The equation for Glamorgan gets that a little bit harder. 134 needed off 52 balls, but they've only got 4 wickets in hand. A real opportunity here for Hampshire, thinking about qualification to knock out the knockout stage for the T20 Blast. This could be a commanding victory for them. Imad Wasim, the new batter for Glamorgan.
Yeah, the target now for Glamorgan, as we were just alluding to earlier, is not to lose too much on their run rate, because Hampshire do have a better run rate than them anyway. They'll go 2 points clear, assuming they win tonight, which looks very much the case. I know he used to play for Somerset, very big West Indian. You think he should retire, but then still comes out and bangs the sixes away.
And suddenly shows up in the league in America.
Yes, it is.
Kyron Pollard.
That's the one.
And he's got 390 catches in T20 cricket.
Still puts himself then where, or the captain puts him where the action is.
Have you seen the size of his hands? Even if he couldn't move, I'd put him down at long on the off chance. If he stuck his hands up, the ball would land in him like a bucket. So Imad Wasim will join Asa Tribe. Difficult situation for Glamorgan. Comes around the wicket to the left-hander, who drives nicely towards Vince at extra cover, but won't find a run. I'd love to know how many dot balls there's been in this innings so far from Glamorgan. I look into the distance as I say that, and then my eyes fixate on Kevin James next to me, who will quickly find that out for me. Again, driving is Imad, this time to the left of Vince at extra cover, allowing him through for a single. 76 for 6 in the 12th. And for those who can't see behind the scenes, Kevin James is now having to manually count every single dot ball, which can only be distracting with me continuing to talk this entire time as he does. But if he has the answer for us now, it just goes to prove to all that intellect he possesses.
Oh.
This one dragged down the ground towards long on, just the single, scored to 77 for 6. Nick's beaten you.
Nick's
What's all
done
that
it,
about?
30. Yeah, he's done it. He's worked it out.
In the battle of the commentators, Glamorgan's come out on top in this one, so 30 dot balls. As Howe full, slapped by Imad, but again picks out the fielder. Curry down there on the boundary, and it will just be the one. So 4 runs off that over and the wicket. Glamorgan 78 for 6 after 12 overs.
Well, this story is going to stay on for a little while, and Nick Webb from BBC Wales will come alongside it to take you through the next few overs. Nick.
Thank you very much indeed, Kevin. Well, Glamorgan hugely up against it. They've almost reached the stage where you think, do you simply make sure that you bat out the 20 overs and try and minimise the margin of defeat, which sounds like negative thinking, but on the other hand, it could prove crucial if 2 teams finish level on points at the end of the campaign. Dawson bowls, and a swing and a miss from Imad outside the off stump.
I always think, what do you do as a batter in this situation? It almost feels so hopeless, but just having to think, what can you do for yourself personally in this situation?
Dawson in, bowls. Imad drives up to long on. We'll just go through for the single. 79 for 6. Imad to 3. I don't think they'll have quite given up yet, but they need some exceptional hitting from this young man, Asa Tribe, who's short on experience but not short on shots, as he pulls one away from Dawson, just drifting down leg side, and Dawson seeing that one disappearing past short fine leg and away for 4, Tribe to 15.
Nice one, Tribe. And I mean, as I was saying, it's unusual to imagine because cricket's such a team sport, but being able to put his hand up here, Tribe, and finish this innings with a few runs behind him, and can only be good from an individual point of view.
As Dawson bowls and Tribe steps back and works it away on the leg side, but will just get the single up to wide, long on. And of course, if an individual prospers, by and large the team prospers, or in this case limits the damage done. Imad Wasim, we've seen plenty of him being very canny with the ball. Not much so far with the bat for Glamorgan. That's wide outside off stump, and Imad just chips it away through the offside for a single. Not really getting a full bat on that one. 85 for 6. The loss of wickets there had me scrambling to see Glamorgan's worst defeat in terms of runs in T20, and hopefully they're about to get past that as Tribe steps back, clubs it hard through the leg side, and that beats the attempted scrambling stop, and the fielder down there, Benny Howell, did well to get a hand to it, but not enough of a hand, and it ran away for 4. 89 for 6 off 13, chasing 209 to win. Another 120 needed for victory.
So what was Glamorgan's biggest defeat in T20 history? Piqued my interest.
Yes, 121 at Cheltenham last year. And then 108 by Somerset at Taunton last year. Glamorgan did have a couple of really bad days on the road, which can happen in T20, of course. Once you get behind the game, by and large, you have to keep swinging and chasing 209 to win. If you collapse, you could collapse really big style.
I think from a fan's point of view, though, I would always rather see a team kind of crumble like that than just block it out till the end, particularly in T20. Sonny Baker from the pavilion end, back into the attack. Starts with a slower ball, guided to backward point, and, well, the fielder stopped it. It kind of bounced out of his hands, and Imad Wasim there walked the single.
Yes, he looked a bit hesitant, only to find Asa Tribe virtually shaking hands with him. It was an easy single, as it happened once the misfield, the lack of a clean stop.
Some good bowling figures for the Hampshire bowlers this evening. Baker 1 for 14. Missed the third over from the young seamer. He runs into Tribe, back of a length, and cuts that down towards deep third. The catch is taken. Benny Howe rocks his head back in laughter, probably not expecting that one to fly down towards him. Tribe goes for 20 off 13 balls. Glamorgan 7 down now in the 14th over, just 90 runs on the board. I mean, it was the right shot to play. It was shorter and wide, and would have just wanted to get it square of the wicket. That realisation, turning round to go, oh God, there's a fielder there, and it's probably one of those ones you don't check for.
Anything really, squarer, finer, higher, any of them would have done.
Other side of the pitch.
As it was, as you say, it's the right shot to play, just didn't quite execute, and steered it straight to Bordeaux-born Benny.
Oh, Ned Leonard, new batter for Glamorgan, who I've always thought sounds a bit like a Simpsons character. I just can't. It's just any kind of cartoon character. It's a brilliant name. He jumps around at the crease, surveys the field.
Not sure there's too many mullets in The Simpsons. Perhaps there is.
I mean, it's still going, The Simpsons, isn't it? And maybe they've given Rod or Todd a mullet by now. Fine leg, deep backward square, deep mid wicket. third, and point on the boundary as Baker, back of a length, follows Leonard there. A shout for caught behind. Baker was convinced. Bit of an appeal from Albert behind the stumps, but it's a dot ball in the end. 90 for 7, Glamorgan, halfway through the 14th. Already a result in the North Group this evening, as Leicester beating Northamptonshire by 6 wickets. And then the only other game in the Blast this evening, Worcestershire up against Derbyshire. Derbyshire need 52 runs and 29 balls. Because we just keep one eye on the northern fixtures, although these last few years of finals days, it's all been teams from the south. Leonard on strike to Baker. Back of a length, it's been uppercut down to third, and Benny Howell's got another. A big cheer from the crowd. The setup was there for the shorter ball. Again, the right shot for Leonard to play, but just picks out the fielder. Another 2-wicket over. There's still time for more. 2 balls left, but Glamorgan 8 down now. It's become a bit of a disaster for the visitors this evening.
Yes, I mean, having seen Tribe fall in exactly that way, it was almost a carbon copy, just with a different batter at the wicket. And Benny Howell again didn't have to move much, maybe coming in a couple of metres on that occasion. I was going to say Ned Leonard's top scored in the pre-competition warm-up against Wiltshire, but that's no use now because he's back in the dugout. And Andy Gorvin, technically correct batter, played his club cricket in the South Wales Premier as a top-order batter, but not a man known for huge hitting.
Baker, 3 for 14, his figures so far. Comes in, shorter ball. Well played by Gorvin. He gets up on his tiptoes, drops the ball into the onside. And that's James Vince has come round there and attempted to boot the ball into the stumps.
Yes.
So maybe needs improvement there.
Dragged it wide to the left-hand post there.
Imad back on strike. Final ball of this over. Glamorgan, can they make it to 3 figures? Baker, got distinctive black tubey grip on his right arm. Runs past the umpire now, outside the off stump, slashed away. There is a fielder out there. And I think in the end, Cartwright has done well to cut that off. I think a few eyes on whether his legs just would have clipped the boundary rope there. In the end, it is just the single. So 92 for 8. Glamorgan, 14 overs gone. Leave you capable hand of Nick as Kevin James is coming back.
Thank you very much indeed, Melissa. I would say good luck on Sunday, but I wouldn't really mean it. Melissa Story playing for Gloucestershire at Sophia Gardens in that double header. 92 for 8 as Kevin James will come back alongside us to relish really the closing stages as the camera picked out a Hampshire hairy hat in the crowd, the likes of which Melissa is sporting alongside us.
I've forgotten how good they were, really. It's nice. They're making a bit of a comeback. At Sussex last Saturday, there was loads of blue hats in the crowd. Loads of them.
Right, here comes Chris Wood to try and finish things off for Hampshire. Bowls to Imad, who drives off the toe of the bat to cover, and there is no run. That legal term you were searching for much earlier in the programme, I think, is jigsaw identification.
Sounds about right.
If you put together couple of pieces of information and by doing so you identify someone.
Yeah, that's the one.
92 for 8. New listeners won't know what else I'm talking about. That's wide outside off stump. Imad leaves it and doesn't get the wide given. 92 for 8 it remains. At this stage, do you just look to limit the damage and try and bat through for 120 maybe?
It's all about the run rate here, Nick, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got to try and mitigate the damage. Here's Wood into bowl, down leg side, swung away. No, stopped at short fine leg. Imad got well inside it, but didn't get quite enough bat on it to beat the man up in the circle. So 3 dot balls from Chris Wood, returning to the side after minor injury very effectively this evening. Conceded just 14 off his 15 deliveries so far, as that's driven by Imad. This time they will go through for the single. There's a shy at the stumps, and Imad might have been struggling at that one hit. It didn't, and the throw comes back in from somewhere deep point. That one misses the wickets as well, and they've gone through for a single.
Wow. Yeah, it's, I mean, just looking at the run rates, I mean, it might come, and it usually does, doesn't it? The last game or two of the season, the run rate does make a huge difference. So I think Glamorgan are just, it's a damage limitation here now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the home dugout, to just say, right, bat the overs out, get one a ball, rather than being 95 all out, which could be the case. Andy Gorvin faces up to Wood and gets a short ball that he just pops towards mid-wicket. I thought he was going to be caught by Dawson for a moment. I don't think Dawson picked it up very well.
It's the floodlights. It went straight in the floodlights.
Didn't go that high, did it?
Well, no, but I mean, I'm just looking at the gestures he's making there. He's just saying, look, that's gone in the lights there, full on. I
don't know if he can get away with claiming that, Liam Dawson, to be honest. It didn't go high enough to go in the lights, surely. I don't know. As that is a short, wide ball. It is called wide outside off stump. I mean, in your playing days, would you have attempted to say that one got lost in the lights?
Listen, lights only started to come in just as I was finishing. I played very few games under lights, probably less than one hand. But I tell you what, they can be a problem. They really can.
94 for 8, Glamorgan. Last ball of the 15th over from Chris Wood, and it's driven into the offside by Gorvin for a single. 95 for 8. I would say chasing, but chasing isn't really the word at the moment, is it? 209 is the nominal target. Just restricting the margin of defeat is Glamorgan's job. That's being discussed, I suspect, by Imad and Gorvin at the moment. This isn't the end of the world for Glamorgan. They have got a difficult game tomorrow night at Surrey. It's not quite a free hit now in terms of the 2 victories that they need, but it would put the pressure on them with the 2 home games remaining against Gloucestershire and Middlesex.
So 114 off 30, which probably and shouldn't really be got, as Curry's in. That's played out square on the offside, and there is no run. It's really difficult because as a spectacle, it's over, and it just felt from an opposition point of view that once Ingram had gone, that really was the game, because he is the man that can change situations no matter what they are. And when he went for 18 in the 9th, it almost felt it was over then. Here's Curry, bowls again, and that's cut away by Gorvin.
Yeah, I think with Tribe and Douthwaite won the game in Middlesex with some tremendous 6 hitting between them, so Glamorgan would have probably been still retained some hopes to 7 for 90, but that was about it, I think.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we are in the lower middle order now, and I think too much is well, you can't expect too much from these guys here. It's just about closing the game out, as Curry from the pavilion end comes in and bowls to Imad, who drives lovely drive straight down the ground. That should go for 4. That's a good straight drive in the air, but safe.
That shot from Swansea-born Imad brought out the Welsh in you there. Lovely it is, man. Down the ground. Tidy.
I love knowing that overseas players come in from Swansea.
Well, a lot of South West Wales fans say they neglect that part of South Wales now. They've got a Swansea-born player there.
100 for 8, 100 up. As Curry comes in, he swings away and it hits him into the inside edge, into the pads. Jog through for a single. 101 for 8. Of course, nothing's down in Swansea now, is it, in terms of cricket? That's all been given up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's scheduled to be the last summer at St Helens for the Swansea club, and the redevelopment is due to take place for the Ospreys regional rugby side.
Oh, okay. So there is, I mean, is there still a square there, a cricket square, or is that just played back to the bowler by Gordon?
Yeah, there is at the moment, yeah.
And then will that stay? After
No,
all
it won't. But the complication is that there's a lot of debate in Wales about how many professional rugby sides are going to have going forward. So, although the Ospreys will tell you that the St Helens redevelopment is nailed on, there may be just a tinge of uncertainty.
Oh, okay. I've been there a few. I know you've been there lots. I've been there a few times. Let's play to backward a point. Dawson will throw at the bowler's end. I think a direct hit, and he'd been gone. 102 for 8.
Yeah, that seemed a little miscommunication between the two batters there. They weren't entirely sure of it. Yes, the trouble was at St Helens was that the ground was crumbling. Post-COVID, it wouldn't have been up to slightly upgraded ECB standards for county cricket. And no one was willing to put the money in, neither the club nor Swansea Council. And the efforts of the Balconiers supporters group, which have sort of supported the senior cricket at St Helens in the few years before COVID, and sadly that wasn't enough anymore.
Because there is room, for, I guess, if there's no square, room for another rugby pitch there, is it, or is there not? No, it's not quite big enough.
No. Howell bowls, driven by Gorvin straight to cover, and there is no run. Glamorgan 102 for 8, and it looks as though they have settled now for batting out the overs, really. And getting the margin of defeat, maybe under 100 runs, which is a very, very small consolation in a T20 game, as Howell bowls. Gorvin drives nicely up towards wide, long off, single taken. But Glamorgan play 2 outground matches, 2 one-day cup matches at Neath, which is around about, what, 8-10 miles away from Swansea, to cater for people in that part of the world, beginning of August. Round the wickets, Howell to Imad, who hits it up towards long on. This time they will look for 2 and get there fairly comfortably. 105 for 8. Unfortunately, realistically, we're not able to inject too much drama into these closing stages, but Hampshire listeners may not mind, as Howell bowls hammered straight back, and that has come off the stumps. It's knocked back the middle stump at the non-striker's end. Howell tried to get a boot to it, probably lucky he didn't, and what could have gone for 4, bisecting long and on and long off, is a dot ball.
That would make Glamorgan's night, wouldn't it, if there was a little sort of deflection off the boot onto the stumps.
It's been that sort of night really for Glamorgan. Not much has gone their way, but Hampshire have been by far the better side. Howell loping in, and that's swung into the offside by Imad, but again not getting it fully off the meat of the bat. It goes up to long off, and a single is taken. Is it my imagination, or is Howell bowling even more slowly than than he used to?
I think the Glamorgan players noticed it a bit, yeah. Gloucestershire, sorry.
Gorvin drives into the offside. This should be a couple of runs by mutual consent out to deep cover. Hampshire aren't worried. Set the world on fire. 108 for 8. Glamorgan in reply to Hampshire's 208 for 4 in their 20 overs. 101 needed. Still just 3 overs to go. Glamorgan will have to forget this one quickly. In action at the Oval, 6:30 tomorrow night, when they'll be joining Mark Church on commentary.
Benny House bowled out there. 1 for 22 from his 4. Yeah, that's the good thing about this T20 tournament. It comes thick and fast, and if you do get a defeat one night, well, you've got a second chance the next night. And of course, once you start and all are fresh, it's amazing how things change. Sonny Baker's back into the attack from the pavilion end, bowling to Wazim, who swings away hard but doesn't quite pierce the fielder at mid-off. That's James Vince, and there is no run. So yes, the wickets have dried up a little bit, as Glamorgan not looking to take too many risks now, and very aware that run rate will come into it, usually does in the groups come the end of the group stage, which is towards the end of next week. I know Hampshire are playing their last game on Thursday. When's yours?
Friday.
Friday, so it's end of next week is the last group games, and then we'll know the quarter-finalists. Swings away, and again it's not quite hard enough to beat Vince at mid-off.
Yeah, Glamorgan haven't been into the knockout stages since 2017, and with Richard Dawson having had success with Gloucestershire in white ball formats, very much the hope that he was going to turn things around. Could still do.
Well, the fact that you're still in with a shout and you're still occupying, even after this defeat, you're still in occupying the qualification places, I think that's already proved, isn't it? It's already working. As Sonny Baker's in again to the left-hander, who gets that one just about over extra cover. It'll bounce away out in the deep, picked up by Hilton Cartwright, and Immad will pick up 2. Moves on to 17, 110 for 8. So it'll be, what, 2 defeats and 2 wins for Glamorgan in their last 4 matches, which isn't too bad.
No, they did start with a run of 1 loss, 1 loss, 1 loss for the first block.
I saw that, yeah. Here's Baker again, bowls, and that's hits up in the air. It's going to be caught to extra cover. Simple catch for Liam Dawson, and Immad goes for 17. And Glamorgan have lost their 9th wicket now with a score on 110.
Yeah, very much just a question of the margin of defeat, but Sonny Baker will enjoy this one. He's got 2 balls to get a 5 for. Dawson bowled Baker.
Yeah, second 5 of the season if he gets it. Got a 5-wicket haul in the championship against Surrey, second game of the season. Playing his first full year since joining from Somerset. Another Somerset bowler, you've got one in Ned Leonard.
Yeah, they make so many, or they... the schools in that part of the world nurture so many, of course.
So this is Sonny Baker's best figures in T20. And, he's been a useful addition since he came in the Sussex game. He just bowls a little quicker. He does try and get the ball right up there when needed. I think Hampshire probably need that option. So Mason Crane coming in at number 11. Well, I remember he was a bit better player than that, but I suppose in this lineup, not sure he's going to come in ahead of as Baker comes in. He cuts it away, goes out towards point, and Crane is off the mark, 111 for 9.
Yeah, Glamorgan have been like that at stages this season where they haven't had a natural number 11, if you like. Having had a couple of candidates maybe at times, they now haven't got a natural 11.
Was it a few years ago? I saw something where he batted at the end and you guys chased a massive score or something and got over the line. Am I imagining something? Crane and somebody else batted. And it was on social media.
Yeah, I'll tell you after this.
Does that ring a bell? I know I'm being a bit vague, as that's played away into the colours by Gorvey. Moves on to 8, 112 for 9.
I think you're referring to the tied game at Cheltenham, where he got 40-odd not out, where Glamorgan were chasing what would have been a world record first class of 5.93 to win, and were bowled out for 5.92 with the very last ball of the 4th day, when McIlroy was caught behind, and Mason Crane got them almost over the line in that game.
That's the one. And was it Brace who took that amazing catch behind? Was that
That's the one,
yeah.
Yes. One-handed without his glove on. He'd taken his glove off to try and to be in a position to throw down the stump should they try and run by. But in the end, he took a brilliant one-handed catch, which was quite difficult to describe from square leg.
Is it me? I can't remember.
As that's a swing and a miss from Gorvin. I think you'd better see Hampshire over the line.
Sure. Okay.
Kevin, you might sound rather more authentically joyful about it than I would.
Yeah, it hasn't always been the case in the T20 this year, but then again, that's every side I think can say that. Unless you're Somerset, who seem to win more than they lose these days. So 97 to win, that's unlikely. Hampshire need 1 more wicket here, and we're into the 19th over as Wood comes in and bowls short one, and that's just helped back to the bowler with a horizontal bat. Andy Gorvin, I think he was trying to play that away on the leg side, but it was a bit of a slow bouncer, that one, from Chris Wood, who has 1 for 17, is into his last over. The ever-dependable Chris Wood. His wicket was right up top, Kieran Carlson. caught by James Vincent mid-off. And that's played away nicely off the back foot by Galvin, out to deep cover. 114 for 9. It's a bit of a shame for the crowd. It's been a bit one-sided tonight, but these things happen in T20 very easily. Yeah,
it is a problem, isn't it, that once you lose a few wickets, there's no time at all to consolidate, as there is in all other forms of the game, really.
Chris Wood in again then, this time to Mason Crane. Would have bowled a lot to him in the nets, so he's pushed that nicely up towards mid-off. Well, then maybe not the last few years, or not Mason Crane's last couple of years or so, because Chris Wood's had to manage his workload. It's a few problems in the knees, and I think he's got a little tight back at the moment as well. Missed it last night. Unusually he played back-to-back games over the weekend, actually. That probably didn't help him. Slower ball, Crane hits it up in the air. It's going to be caught at mid-wicket, and that is the end of the game. Hampshire win by 95 runs, with Glamorgan bowled out for 113. Chris Wood finishes with 2 wickets for 18. And this game is all over in the penultimate over. A comfortable win for Hampshire. Back-to-back wins last night at Middlesex, tonight here at the Utilita Bowl, and they will leapfrog Glamorgan into 3rd place in the South Group.
Yeah, Glamorgan still with matters in their own hands in terms of reaching the quarterfinals with 3 games to play, but this really has been a weak performance this evening. The first half of the Hampshire innings, 75 for 2, reasonably respectable with the ball. Glamorgan came under the pump in the second half of the Hampshire innings, and faced with such a demanding task, you have to go hard from the start. There's no room to rethink if things go wrong, and indeed they continue to go wrong. 95-run victory will not do Glamorgan's net run rate any use, but they will go again in less than 24 hours' time against Surrey at the Oval.
Nick, thank you very much. Nick Webb from BBC Wales. Thank you also to Melissa Story, a one-off appearance from her. Hope you enjoyed our commentary this evening. And still games left in this T20 group. There's still much that can happen. But Hampshire into 3rd place and looking a lot better than they did earlier on this week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll say good evening from the Utilita Bowl.
A reminder, if you enjoyed yourself here this evening, we'd love to see you back on Sunday. It's a double-header with the Hawks women's team taking on the Bears women, and Hampshire Hawks men up against Sussex Sharks. Those matches starting at 11 AM and 3 PM respectively on Sunday. We look forward to seeing many of you for that one. Another crucial game for the Hawks men in the chase for the quarterfinals. If you're interested in upgrading your ticket for Sunday, don't forget we have Ticket Plus and hospitality availability as well for Sunday's doubleheader. If you fancy treating yourself for the last home game for our Vitality Blast men's competition. Don't forget too, there's a standalone Friday night fixture a week tomorrow for Hampshire Hawks women as well, up against the Blaze in the Vitality Blast women. Many of you will already have your tickets too for next Wednesday's Metrobank ODI between England women and India women. That's a 1 o'clock start on Wednesday in 6 days' time. We'd love to see you at the front end of that Women's Metrobank ODI series, England against India. Tickets available via utilitabowl.com. guys. Let's go.